Hello? Okay. That seems to be working now. Just gotta get the camera correctly. Welcome to Fluffy Sexy Bitches and welcome to the stream. Henry! I almost forgot you, big boy. Come on. Come on. You gotta be by my side, Henry. How else we gonna survive tonight? There we go. We don't need these anymore. These are from yesterday's stream. And there we go. Gone. Finito. All right. How you guys doing? How you guys feeling? How you guys? Are you guys excited? We are now reading again 10 SCPs. This time the 620s. Yesterday was a long read, and I hope that today will be a bit shorter. I prefer when the SCP reading is like exactly 2 hours, but you know, you can never control these type of things. There we go. Everything's ready. Everything's set. I'm just checking everything on this side. This side. Nice. Nice. And yeah, I would say without further ado, I forgot I have Monica on. But without further ado, we just shall start reading. The first one is 620. Time keeps on slipping. Hey, look at that. A nice and short one. Unlike the 610. Damn, that was. Whew. Okay. Object class safe. The rating is. It's in the triple digit. That's solid. That's solid. Here we go. Special containment procedures. SCP-620 is not considered a direct hazard as such. And here we have a crossed out line. It is currently located inside Blank's accounting department. So whatever this SCP did, it made the people change wherever it's going to be contained. But it's safe, so it shouldn't be too worrisome. Maybe they just decide to just replace it somewhere else. Its containment procedures, I read that correctly, exist to create an environment where researchers can study its effect without being exposed to them. SCP-620 is to be mounted to a large two-way mirror separating an observation area from the testing area. It is to be attached to the mirror by suction cup mounts. In the event of suction cup failure, the testing area must be evacuated until SCP-620 can be remounted. Research personnel may remount the object as brief exposure is not considered dangerous. SCP-620 is currently connected directly to Site Blank's power supply following incident SCP-620-Blank. Any signs of wires needing repair must be reported to Site Blank and maintenance staff immediately. I have no idea what this could mean. As I said a couple times already, usually the containment procedures kind of hints on what the SCP does. This doesn't. I have no idea what I'm about to read, but it's pretty short, so we'll find out right now, right here, right now. Right, Henry. SCP-620 is an analog clock of unknown make and model. It bears no markings indicating a who the fuck is shooting fireworks at this time? It bears no markings indicating a manufacturer or place of origin. Its face is styled after the yellow smiley face design. And it's an analog clock. If I recall correctly, this was called Time is Slipping, right? Time keeps on slipping. So we have something that tells time. That important. But let's go on. When SCP-620 is powered, all subjects observing its face experience perceived time acceleration. Constant observation is not required. Occasional glances will induce the perceived acceleration as quickly as constant observation. Say that again. Constant observation is not required. Occasional glances will induce the perceived acceleration as quickly as constant observation. Okay. What it's saying is you can either look at it the whole time or look away and then look back at it. It's not going to change what it should. I mean, isn't that normal with clocks? Like, if you look at it the whole 5 seconds, the 5 seconds will pass, and if you look away for 5 seconds, look back, 5 seconds still has passed. So I guess that's what they're trying to say, is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you look away or look on it. Nothing will really be out of the ordinary. But that doesn't. That's It's an SCP, so it will be strange or out of the ordinary. So here we go. Upon the conclusion of a testing session, test subjects were asked to gauge how much time they thought they had spent testing. All on the reported time spent testing by a factor proportional to time spent exposed to SCP-620. Subjects exposed to SCP-620 for under 5 minutes were no less accurate at measuring time than a control group. However, as exposure length increases, inaccuracy rises proportionally. Most subjects experience its effect to be pleasurable. Okay. So SCP-620 has been mounted on the wall inside Blank's accounting department to increase morale. And that's crossed out, so people, I mean, first of all, don't. just don't use an SCP to, you know, if you use an SCP to benefit your own company, most of the time it just backfires. There's some SCPs that you guys have said, you know, that we can actually make good use of it, and I can see it. But if it causes pleasure, that might not be the right one. You can, if it causes motivation, I would be like, yes, that is better. But pleasure, that could go wrong. As of incident SCP-620-blank, indiscriminate exposure to this object is no longer permitted, and the object has thus been relocated to a specialized research area. The perceived time acceleration only persists as long as the object remains functional. If SCP-620 loses power or its hand ceases movements for any reason, all subjects exposed to it will experience time dilation in equal proportion to the time acceleration perceived when it's functional. All subjects, especially those previously perceiving time acceleration, find the time dilation uncomfortable, and after prolonged exposure it becomes unbearable for most test subjects. SCP-620 consumes battery charge at varying and unpredictable levels, causing it to lose power with little warning. As such, SCP-620 currently draws power directly from Site Blank's power supply. Okay, I see. Prolonged exposure to the object in either state is unsafe. After 24-hour continuous hours of exposure, subjects have in the past begun to reject food regardless of hunger, frequently stating that they just ate, regardless of how much actual time has passed since the subject has eaten. Subjects become overconfident in their recollection, claiming to remember things as if they were yesterday, but with no measurable increases in recall. Subjects who become aware of how quickly they perceive time to be passing have become chronically depressed, believing that death to be imminent. I get it now. Okay, subject exposed to a stopped phase for prolonged periods quickly become extremely bored, often pleading with researchers through the mirror for the test to end. It is important to remember that SCP-620 has no effect whatsoever on the actual flow of time as far as Foundation equipment can detect. The acceleration and dilation are completely psychosomatic. Subjects who do not know what an analog clock is or how to read ones are unaffected by SCP-620. I get it. So it's an SCP that if you put it on, your own time speeds up, but time itself doesn't. So you perceive everything way fast. Basically, imagine the Flash in Justice League, because he can perceive everything at what, an attosecond or something like that, which was like super fast. So everything for him is just slow, and that's how they feel. But time in the entire world stays the same. Just for them, it feels like everything already either A has happened, like when it comes to the body, they think like everything already has happened. So if they're hungry, they think they ate, even though they didn't. But that's what they think. They think they just ate now. If it's sleep, I wonder actually. do they sleep the same amount, or do they sleep way shorter periods because their body thinks they slept 8 hours, even though they only slept for like 10 minutes? But I get it now. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, no wonder. Of course, it's considered safe because as long as nobody actually puts the watch on, then the SCP cannot do its thing. So I can see how it's a less dangerous one to humanity. We're good. We don't have to worry about that just now. We only have to worry if a bunch of people decide to like wear it and be like, oh, it's a cute little watch, has a smiley face on it, I can tell time with it, and next thing you know, they become depressed because they are basically aware that the death is coming at a much faster rate than normal human beings. So yeah. Next one is called hypnobulbs. What if they're like light bulbs that just hypnotize you, having them at a rave. Imagine that, just and you're like just a bunch of people on the dance floor getting hypnotized. Although at the end, I'm not sure if the hypnobulbs actually can command things, because I mean, okay, it's an SCP. It probably can. It probably can, and it's considered Euclid. All right. All instances of SCP-621 are to be kept in the Site-16 greenhouse and watered regularly. Wait, watered? What do you mean watered? It's a bulb, right? Oh. Is it? No. No, there's no other word for bulbs except for flash bulbs, right? For light bulbs. Or is it something like, in plant language, or terminology, excuse me more, is it a bud and then a bulb? Is that a thing? I don't know. Seeds and pollen from SCP-621 are not to be released into the wild, and no instances of SCP-621 are to be released for commercial trade, given as gifts, used as props, used as bribes, or stored in personal offices. Personnel are advised to not look at SCP-621 for extended periods of time. Yeah, because, you know, it hypnotizes. Okay, addendum. Oh, an addendum first before the description, okay? And it's the third one, not even the first one. Oh, they're down here, okay. Odd. Personnel are advised to not look at SCP-621 through sunglasses, which has recently been shown to increase SCP-621's mental effects. Only unfiltered lab goggles may be worn around SCP-621. It should be of additional note that unfiltered lab goggles, lab glass, or other transparent obstruction will not shield SCP-621's effect. Just be blind. Just stab your eyes out. It's pretty simple. Honestly, I don't see a problem. Or just have, in general, just have blind researchers. Problem solved. SCP solved. It's useless. Done. Any instances of SCP-621 found in the wild are to be exterminated immediately. Any instances of SCP-621 found in public are to be confiscated, and whoever is in possession at the time be taken in for questioning. Civilians actively watering SCP-621 in the wild are to be detained, and the instances of SCP-621 to be confiscated. Be warned that some may use physical force in order to protect SCP-621. So I assume these plants hypnotize people to feed them. As in, like, so far I can tell, I hope it's the case, these plants doesn't actually eat people, it just needs water. But whatever the end phase of these SCP are is what the Foundation probably wants to try to stop. Cross-pollination of SCP-621 species will require clearance from command-level personnel. No cross-pollinations may be done for personal reasons. Of course, naturally. Although, you just a moment ago wanted to use a clock. So, excuse me, a watch. Two different things. To increase morale. I think that's pretty personal. But of course, in the end, this is a different faction, so they probably don't even have the watch in their faction. Also, it's Site-16, right? So, Site-16, whatever Site-16 does, and whatever the Site Blank did that the other SP was at, they don't care. Let the other side do their things. Description: SCP-621 is a series of highly invasive flowering plants originally released by Blank and Blank Flower Shop that have been in the Foundation's possession as of blank blank o blank. These plants, mainly the plant species Didier tulips, Tulipa gesneriana, are naturally bioluminescent. Oh, that's cool. Powered by water and other nutrients. These plants glow a variety of colors, though most instances glow purple, blue, or green. It's fucking rave plants. Rave Lord Nighto. These bioluminescent effect can be best seen at night or in a dark area. The effect is only active while the plants are alive. Can you imagine you just go on a field in the middle of the night? Which, by the way, why? But second, just imagine there's no repercussion, no consequences of doing so, and all the plants around you just glow in different lights. You're just there, you just put some music on and just dance in the field, man. Just dance. Be free. Be free in your rave garden. I would do it. SCP-621, particular in its glow, seems to have a hypnotizing effect on humans, naturally. Yeah, of course. With numerous requests by personnel to store them in their personal offices, all of which have been denied. Yeah, you don't want that around in their personal office, now do you? SCP-621 has varying effects on other animals. When exposed to bees, hummingbirds, or cross-pollinating animals, all of the animals subjected have preferred spreading the pollen of SCP-621 as opposed to other flowering plants, and due to its bioluminescence are capable of doing so this at night, increasing its rate of reproduction. Right, this plant has a whole system down. It's like, yeah. You don't have, the bees, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to worry. I light you away. I am the light. However, when exposed to herbivores such as deer or rabbits, all of the subject animals have actively avoided SCP-621. With a high fertility rate and natural defense against predators and a hypnotizing effect on humans, SCP-621 can be deemed a highly effective invasive species. Yeah, that does make sense. It is a species that it literally doesn't need help. It doesn't need any. I say that it literally hypnotizes things to help it out, but technically, what I'm saying is no human being needs to actually stand on the other side of the fucking field and be like, you know what, I'm gonna help this plant out. Just help the pollens to cross-pollinate a little bit. Nah, this guy's like, I have this whole system. I'm good. I have the bees. I have the hummingbirds. All on my side, I got a whole array, a whole army that does my bidding. Thank you very much. Don't need you. Addendum 4. Upon further testing, SCP-621 pollen gives off a strong and pleasant, which got crossed out, so either it's A, not pleasant anymore, or B, maybe this was written by someone who got affected by it. SCP-621 is completely hypoallergenic, and when personnel with allergies are exposed to up to 5 grams of SCP-621's pollen, personnel displayed no allergic reactions. That, I wish. I wish that plants were like that to me with my hay fever. God damn. Can you imagine you just inhale pollen and I'm like, perfectly fine. There's nothing to worry about. That would be nice. That would be lovely. When placed around other plants, SCP-621 supersedes the nutrients provided to other plants in order to fuel its bioluminescence. As a result, SCP-621 quickly drains the soil of nutrients and requires more water than all other plants in Site 16, Greenhouse. Before being actively monitored by the Foundation, SCP-621 had uprooted multiple farming pastures, but because of its hypnotic qualities, nothing had been done to stop them. I imagine a bunch of farmers, God damn these plants! Ruining everything, we gotta destroy them, and then they come close and the plants are like, leave us, and the guy like, yeah, okay, we'll leave you be. I don't even know why I was angry at you guys. Of course you're doing the right thing. Destroying the pavement, and all of the hard work I have to put in to make a road here. In addition, sympathizers actively ward the invading plants during the incursions, of course. Other government agencies such as the USDA and and EPA protect against these sorts of invasive species, state agencies have actively defended SCP-621 at the expense of commercial farmers. It may be of note that the farmers have since accepted the situation, citing SCP-621's aesthetic superiority to their own crops, and their desire to protect SCP-621. This SCP made the whole bunch of farmers think, hey, we're the cooler ones here, and the farmers are like, yeah, you know what, you're kinda right. I mean, look at you. You grow in the dog. It's fucking awesome. The Foundation stepped in when SCP-621 began invading Blank National Wildlife Preserve, threatening several instances of both endangered plants and animals. The EPA refused to hinder the spread of SCP-621 despite the existential risk to plants and animals, on the grounds that it would have made the Blank National Wildlife Preserve more aesthetically pleasing. Man, this plant is like the one girl in school that's like super attractive, and everybody just falls for them. Even the teachers, like everybody's just like, he'd be like, I don't have my homework, and the teacher's like, oh, that's fine, it's fine. Just bring it next week. And then the girl's like, oh, thanks. And then it's like, I don't have a pen. And then 50 boys just like grab the pen out and like, here you go, ma'am, here you go, queen. And she's like, thank you. And everybody's like, and then the guy's like, she picked my pen. I am the chosen one. Man. She just walks around. Everybody's like, man, she definitely knows what she's doing. Although, Didier's tulips, Tulipa chesneriana are the most common type of SCP-621. And the most common type is the nose. My nose being affected by my mustache. I need to shave. There also exist species of SCP-621 that include other types of tulips, roses, Rosa spp, and a few instances of lettuce, Lactusa spp, as a result of cross-pollination. Great. Can you imagine growing a dog lettuce? You want to make yourself a salad at midnight? No worries, you don't even have to activate the lights. The lettuce shall show you the way. However, no Class D personnel could bring themselves to eat SCP-621, worried about possible side effects. I mean, the only side effect I can imagine is that you start glowing, which doesn't seem that bad. I mean, okay, maybe sleep will be a bit difficult, but all you gotta do is just close your eyes, or have something like that covers your eyes, and then you're good. You're good. When force-fed, SCP-621 induces intense anxiety and paranoia on the subject, but no other side effect. Okay, maybe that's a bit of a problem. That might be a tiny bit of a problem. This anxiety dissipates upon digestion. This effect has been seen on multiple test subjects. Addendum 1, which is for some reason down here, in light of the recent events involving Dr. Z blank holding several instances of SCP-621 in his personal office, all personnel on Site 16 are allowed to keep at least one instance of SCP-621 in their office, and that's why I got crossed out. Oh, no, never mind. But yeah, that got crossed out because they're like, yeah, no. In light of Dr. Z's blank public apology for holding several instances of SCP-621 in his personal office, personnel are no longer allowed to keep an instance of SCP-621 in their offices. Wait, so he apologized and now everybody's like, okay, yeah, now we can't keep it? No, to everyone asking me to ask the administration to release SCP-621 to the public, this is the very reason we're keeping SCP-621 here. I don't care if it looks cool or if I had a few in my office for a while. I know firsthand that this thing has some kind of hypnotizing effect on people, and something is telling me this plan has possibly evolved for that very purpose. If our own government agencies won't stop these things, we will. Dr. Zip Blank. Okay, so he basically hold a bunch, realized he got hypnotized, apologized, and it's like, yeah, don't do it. Listen, these plans may look cool, but don't do it. I love it. I love this one. I love the fact that like literally everybody doesn't want to stop it because it just looks nice. I feel like that's like the same. I feel like a lot of human beings work like that, right? You prefer something that looks nice over something that works well. You know what I mean? Like in video games, for example, you prefer like the armor that looks cool, even though the stats are horrible. Over the armor that looks horrible, but the stats are really good. Or as well in like anything like material-wise, You rather have something that looks cool than something that's useful. In my opinion, I think like most of the sports cars that people buy once they're fucking rich, a lot of influencers do. I'm like, yeah, it looks cool, but it's kind of useless. Like, what if you want to carry more than 2 luggage and you have kids? Then what? There's not enough space. There's not space in there. And I'm pretty sure those things are not comfortable for long rides either. So I'm just saying, like, yeah, it looks nice, but it's just not useful. Okay, here we go. Desert in a can. Ooh, this one's a bit long. Ooh, yes, this one is a bit longer. Here we have a bunch of things. Okay, let me just hide all these again. Alright. If you want to join, tell me. Just sending my friend a quick text. Okay, Desert in a can. It was safe, but it's Euclid now. All cans and containers of SCP-622 are to be immediately transferred to Site 16. The formula for SCP-622 must be contained from the public by any means necessary. Any commercial trade of products containing SCP-622 should be documented and preferably intercepted before delivery. Any person, organizations in possession of SCP-622 are to be taken in for questioning. I mean, it's just a can of whoop ass, man. No, it's not. It's a can of fucking desert. Get rid of that. Handling SCP-622 will require seal-proof gloves, hand lotion, and at least 1 canteen of water per personnel present. Oh shit. There's actually, like, if you pop it, just a whole desert comes out and you get lost. And you're like, okay, at least I have water. I will stay hydrated. In the event of a containment breach, the immediate area affected by SCP-622 is to be quarantined for no less than 24 hours and hosed down with regular water shortly after. I hope it's like... I hope it's like a can, like a soda can. So if you shake it, it just the chance that it just ruptures. I know it doesn't normally rupture by itself, but I hope that this one does, which is like explodes. I just realized that that YouTube took my Twitch title. Weird. Interesting. Oh well, doesn't matter. Addendum SCP's Addendum 1. In light of test -1 through -3, all future testing of SCP-622 must take place outside of Site 16's air circulation system. Oh yeah, that might be a bit of an issue, isn't it? If it's like all the sand goes into air circulation, then that might be a bit of a problem. Addendum 2, SCP-622 is not to be used outside and under any circumstances. Additional containment procedures are only available to security level 4 personnel and above as per protocol redacted. I assume it's just a non-stop expanding desert. And that's why they have to be careful how they use it, right? But then I also wonder what stops this thing from like just filling up the whole foundation and then pop the windows open and then extending to outside and then further and further. I don't know, maybe there's like a limit, who knows. Description: SCP-622 is the chemical composition data expunged, also known as blank blank blank, developed by the blank chemical company under the trade name Desert in a Can. SCP-622 was originally marketed as a security aid for large businesses to incapacitate intruders in a similar vein to tear gas or pepper spray. I feel like that might be a bit of a problem if you use a desert and compare it to tear gas. Because tear gas fills up a small area. But if this is an ever-expanding desert, I think you might accidentally kill the intruders, yourself, and ruin the whole building. According to Blank Chemical Company, SCP-622 also doubled as a cleaning agent and insecticide. But due to its hazardous nature, Blank Chemical Company was shut down in 19 blank before any more products of this nature could be manufactured. As of blank blank blank. They are at least blank to blank document. There's a lot of blanks here. Document cans of Desert in the can remaining, most of which are still in possession and used by the following companies. Redacted. There's a lot of information that we're not being told. According to the direction, one layer of SCP-622 is applied to hallways during a break-in or robbery. When applied, SCP-622 becomes odorless and colorless. Upon application, all moisture in the immediate area is absorbed by SCP-622, creating an easily cleanable salt-like crust over the applied areas identified to be the compounds sodium chloride, NaCl, magnesium sulfate, MtSO4, and blank 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 to blank. Oh, okay, so I did not expect that. I thought that it pops a whole desert out, like sand just like shoots out. I didn't think that it just dries up the area. What happens if you apply a little bit of it on your skin? I assume it also like just soaks up the moisture in your body, in your finger, depending on where you apply it. So if you apply like square across the finger, it might just like dry up your. Imagine like having like 4 normal fingers, but the middle fingers like really dried up, so it's just thinner, skeletal-like. Will freak me out a little bit. According to the directions, one layer of SCP is applied. Oh, I already read that, excuse me. When SCP-622 is exposed to organic life, here we go. The immediate effects are dehydration, dried eyes, and profuse sweating, which is quickly absorbed by SCP-622. Wow. No even time to evaporate the sweat, it just gone. Other effects include a significant drop in blood pressure, increase in heart rate, dizziness, and chills. For more information, see test log 3. Yeah, I mean, you're basically mummifying people while they are still alive. According to the can's warning label, SCP-622 dissipates after 12 hours, but according to the test 1, SCP-622 can last up to 24 to 36 hours. Tests 2 and 3 show that SCP-622 will only dissipate in 12 hours when redacted, security level 3 and up. Refer to test log 2 and 3. Okay, but here we have the first 3 tests, and then there's some more down here. Test 1. Inorganic testing of SCP-622 to determine shelf life of chemical compound data expunged in an isolated environment. Procedure: SCP-622 applied in isolated hallway K blank and viewed through remote monitoring devices. Moisture measured and monitored by electronic instruments for a control. Hallways K6 and K7 were also monitored for humidity content, averaging at 20% relative humidity. Results: in 12 hours, relative humidity around SCP-622 remained unchanged at 0%, despite the label's claim of dissipating in 12 hours. The air did not rise in humidity. It took only nearly 26 hours elapsed before the relative humidity rose to 1%. The relative humidity stayed at 1% for nearly an hour more, slowly rising to 2% after 27 hours. SCP-622 did not completely dissipate until 35 hours and 28 minutes. The final relative humidity, capped at 19%, 19.26% with significant figures for the next 4 hours. For the next 4 weeks, and remained there as of writing. It is undetermined if it is a result of SCP-622 removing all excess moisture from the construction phase of Site 16, or if there is a chemical component that does not dissipate. Oh boy. 4 weeks of just a whole hallway drained of moisture, humid as hell. Woo. Test log 2. Inorganic testing of SCP-622 to determine shelf life of chemical compound data expunged in a controlled environment. That's the same, right? Isolated and controlled. That's the two. Okay. Excuse me. I was wrong. Procedures. Before SCP-622 was applied in hallway K blank, 4 buckets of water equivalent to the water content of an average human being were placed in aforementioned hallway. As with test 1, hallway K blank was isolated. Excuse me. Applied with SCP-622 and viewed through remote monitoring devices. Moisture measured and monitored by electronic instruments for A control hallways K6 and 7 were also monitored for humidity content average at 20. Okay, so that's pretty much the same, except that there's now 4 buckets of water. Results in 12 hours, all 4 buckets of water were completely dried up. The relative humidity stood at 12% until 25 hours had passed, finally capping at around 90%, 18.87 with significant figures after 35 hours elapsed time. When applying significant figures to the control rooms, the average relative humidity has dropped from 20.24% to the 20.17%. It is unknown whether this is directly a result of SB622, Site 16's air system, or a combination of the two. Okay, now we have test log 3, which is the biggest one, it seems. We have organic testing of SB622 to determine shelf life of chemical compound data expunged in a controlled environment. Okay, this is gonna go. This is where the killing happens. 2D class personnel were requested by Dr. The Blank, subject D254, male Caucasian 24-year-old, 87 kilos, 169 centimeters, was given a canteen of water prior to entering hallway K blank. Subject D255, male Caucasian 46 years old, 92 kilo. Ooh, weird. 92 kilograms, 172 centimeters, was not given any water prior to entering hallway K blank. As with test 1 and 2, hallway K blank was isolated, applied with SB622. Oh my god, I must be extremely tired. And viewed through remote monitoring devices. Moisture measured and monitored by electronic instruments for a control hallways. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's still the same. Okay. Results. Almost immediately after entering the affected area, both subjects complained of exhaustion. Subject D254 immediately began drinking from his canteen. Subject D255 attempted to struggle with D254 over the canteen, but found himself too weak to fight. D255 starts visibly hyperventilating around 8 minutes elapsed time. D255 collapsed at 10 minutes elapsed time and does not get up. Subject D254 notices a visible mist coming off his canteen, reported his water is evaporating and needs more. Asian people sent in to give him more water, reports on how dry the air is. Subject D255's flesh is visibly redacted, probably shriveled up and dried up. At 15 minutes elapsed time, subject D254 runs out of water, complains about being hungry. Asian P returns with multiple bottles of redacted brand sports drinks, a bucket of water, and several granola bars. Subject D255 seen dunking his head into the bucket of water before pouring it on himself and consuming sports drinks and granola bars. The water on D255's hair and clothes immediately dry up. At 26 minutes elapsed time, subject D254 collapses from malnutrition. For the next 10 hours, the bodies of D254 and D255 continued redacted, finally reaching the skeletons. The clear salt-like crust from the evaporated moisture turned to a mix of dark red and brown. The average relative humidity remained at 14% until 35 hours elapsed time, averaging at 9%, 18.56 with significant figures. When applying significant figures to the control rooms, the average humidity has dropped from 20.17 to 19.96. I think it's safe to believe that SB622 may have some sort of chemical component that still lingers long after SB622 has dissolved. For future references, let's do all testing outside of Site 16 circulation system, Dr. The Blank. Now we have the test log 4, which is the shortest one, it seems. Organic testing of SCP-622 to determine shelf life of component in an outdoor environment, which is dumb. The fact that they did that after like testing indoors and be like, this is what it does. Yeah, let's do it outside. Sometimes the foundation, I'm like, guys, you are not really that smart, are you? I understand that you have to test an SCP in every way possible, but sometimes like something like that is not needed. Sometimes you just see the test from before and be like, you know what, I feel like if we went to do it outside, it would just be more extreme. SB622 will be applied to a small batch of grass on Site 16, testing Biosphere 7 and viewed through remote monitoring devices. Moisture measured and monitored by electronic instruments for control For control testing, Biosphere 2 and 1 were also monitored for humidity content averaging at... Oh shit, I don't need this anymore. I'm home. Don't need the belt. Freedom. Averaging at 68% and 73% relative humidity respectively. Results data expunged. See Addendum 2, security levels 3 and above refer to document A and B, which we have right here. Document A. What do we have here? Organic testing of SB. The shelf with active person, 05 personnel only in outdoor environment. Yes. Procedures SB will be small. Motion measured. That seems like the same as we just read. Results within the first minute of exposure, the humidity of Biosphere 7 dropped to 0%, forming a brown cross along where 622 was sprayed. Within 2 minutes of testing, all floor within Biosphere. Oh, did he ever answer? Oh, he probably is dead tired. All of them. All within the Biosphere 7 had shriveled up, turning into salt-like compounds similar to SCP-622. All of the mud within the Biosphere 7 turned to dry, cracked dirt. After 3 minutes, security notified testing staff that the surrounding plant life of Site-16 was beginning to turn brown outside of Biosphere 7, despite the airtight nature of Biospheres of the Biosphere. Site-16 staff dispatched to surround the area and stop SCP-622 from spreading. After 5 minutes, SCP-622 has recovered over 0.017 square kilometers. See, this is why I'm saying. Why would you test it outside? Spreading at an estimated rate of 0.2 kilometers an hour or roughly 3 meters per minute. Site 16 proceeded to dump water on the surrounding area to stop SCP-622 from spreading. SCP-622 quickly absorbs all water and continues spreading. Site 16 command level staff immediately requests to enact Protocol Gray. 05 approves. Protocol Gray enacted. Security levels 3 and above refer to 622-B. Security levels 4 and 5 refer to Protocol Gray Containment Procedures, which we will read right here, right now. So here's what the protocol. Let's see what this is for the security levels 3. A message from 05 blank to general staff. As many of you are undoubtedly aware, SCP-622 has broken out of containment at Site-16. While this does not pose a possible threat leading to an eventual NK-class Grey Goo end of the world scenario, Foundation staff are doing their best to contain the problem. Site-16 staff have enacted Protocol Gray to slow the rate of SCP-622 spreading and are currently looking into how SCP-622 was able to reach the Biosphere testing facility. To help alleviate fears, here are a few facts that we would like you all to know. All of the biological SCPs at Site-16 have been secured and transferred away from the spread of SCP-622. Space will be slightly more cramped, but the situation is under control and all of the other SCPs are in proper containment. Yeah, of course, because you don't want those things to get hurt. I mean, again, some of the SCPs are harmless, and some of the SCPs are humans, so it makes sense that they do this. As of 7/18/12, SCP-622 has only been a spread of total of less than 3 square kilometers, and the rate has slowed thanks to Protocol Gray. At the rate it's going, it will only be able to overtake Site-16 in 7 years. Even then, we still have plenty of time before it reaches any urban areas. SCP-622 can be slowed down by water, especially fluoridated water. As long as we keep pumping over water to Site-16, it will buy us an extra time until we think of a solution. We have a list of all the known companies that are still in possession of SCP-622 and are effectively seeking to contain every last canister before they can be used. Lastly, I know some of you are shaky about Protocol Gray. It may come back to bite us, but I'd much rather worry about an XK class end of the world event in a few hundred years than an NK class Grey Goo end of the world event in the next few weeks. We'll deal with that then, but for now, Protocol Gray is buying us time. As long as we end Protocol Gray in the next 10 years, I don't think there's anything we need to worry about. I will notify everyone once SCP-622 has been contained and when Site-16 staff discover why it was able to breach containment. Carry on, 05 blank, 12/15/12. Okay. Access denied. Site staff have been notified. Okay. Wow. I mean, again, this is one of those moments where I would be like, why would you ever want to do that? You know, why would you want to use this thing outside of a testing facility on nature? You can already like, if you do an educated guess, you can already tell that it's going to mess up the ecosystem, that it's going to mess up a lot of things, and that also the moisture inside Earth will be a bit more stronger affected by this SCP than a building. They didn't think. Shame on them. Hey, we got one groovy room. Groovy. Is this okay? Nice. It's a safe again. So we have 2 saves, 1 Euclid and 1 safe that became Euclid, if I recall correctly. SCP-623 is located in the blank annex of blank University. The entrance to SCP-623 is to be guarded by 2 level 3 security personnel at all times. In-room monitoring must take place every hour for no longer than 5 minutes. Extended observation of SCP-623 is done from an external observation room through remote monitoring devices. Personnel operating within the observation room are required to switch out every 5 minutes. An additional level 3 security guard is required to escort any observers out of the observation room and must not enter until needed. All personnel subject to SCP-623 for longer than 5 minutes are to be taken for psychological re-evaluation regardless of direct or indirect exposure. I forgot to tag it, didn't I? Yes. No photos, videos, or sound recordings are permitted near SCP-623. Sketch drawings and mock-ups must be approved by command-level personnel before being released. All photos, mock-ups, or recreation of SCP-623 are to be destroyed immediately. I completely forgot what this means. Yeah, wrong room. Yes, yes. SCP-623 may safely come into contact with room-altering SCPs, as any major alteration to the room neutralizes SCP-623's effect. However, room-altering SCPs will still carry the same inherent dangers. Okay, again, another one that has the addendum first before the description. Addendum 1, all testing on individual subject may last no longer than 6 hours. Security monitoring observing personnel are now required to remove observing personnel before the 5th minute has elapsed, possibly earlier if needed. Okay. Description: SCP-623 is a room of roughly 7 meters squared, cubed, built in 1960 blank by Dr. H. D. blank, a biochemical professor at blank University, built as part of Data Expunged. Dr. D. blank was subsequently arrested for his activities, but not before his students and followers began making copies of the room. As of 2000, that's the worst, because you cannot say 2010 or 11 or 12 blank, you know, so it's like 2000 blank teen, I guess. At least blank recreation of SCP-623 have been found across blank college campuses. The room is quite large and consists of the following objects: 1 blue couch, 1 red couch, 1 green couch, 1 beanbag chair, 1 circular table emulating a color wheel, 7 chairs surrounding aforementioned tables, 7 multicolored lighting fixtures. All of the furniture is arranged in a unique mathematical-based pattern coinciding with the patterns on both the walls and floors. All of the furniture has been nailed to the floor, most likely prior to painting. Because of the high ceiling, the eye is naturally drawn up to the psychedelic patterns on the walls. The arrangement of the furniture, the patterns surrounding the room, and the combined acoustics have profound effect on mental behavior, regardless if the affected observer is deaf or blind. Okay, so, but does it make you feel groovy? Huh? Come on. These effects extend through remote monitoring devices, still photos, and audio recording devices. Maybe you just want to go in and relax a little, man. Just chill out and you know, just lay down on the floor a little bit. Just chill, bro. Who knows? Doesn't seem so bad. Upon entering SB623, personnel have described the feeling of relaxation. Hey, see? There you go. You start to relax, bro. You start to relax. After 3 minutes from entering SB623, you relax so much that you die. Personnel are incapable of violence, becoming docile and harmless. With the effects after 5 minutes, refer to document 623-1. Due to the room's pacifying effects, all attempts at removing the furniture are futile. So even if you try to like move something around, you're just like, man, we just leave it there. It looks nice. Exiting SB623 exhibits inverse withdrawal effects. Okay, so it's like a drug almost. Immediately after observation has stopped, observers will feel an intense jolt back to the outside world, which becomes significantly strong over time spent inside. Other side effects vary over time. Upon leaving SB623 within 1 minute of entering, personnel have reported feeling uneasy, jittery, and slightly paranoid. After leaving SCP-623, 3 minutes from entering, personnel have exhibited anxiety, fear, and in worst cases, depression. For effects after 5 minutes, refer to document 623-1, which we have right here. Okay, what does it do? What does it do after 5 minutes? Effects of entering and exiting SCP-623 after 5 minutes or longer. Test. 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Oh wait, 2 10 minutes, not or 2 10 minutes. Subject D251, male Hispanic, 31-year-old, wow, he's heavy, 101 kilograms, 180 centimeters. I'm taller than him, but he's like 30 kilos heavier than me. After 5 elapsed minutes, subject D251 seen giggling and mumbling slurred phrases. After 6 elapsed minutes, D251 begins hugging white beanbag chair, declaring his love for it repeatedly. After 7 elapsed minutes, D251 requests various junk foods over the remote monitoring device. The request was denied. After 8 minutes elapsed time, D251 began to dance around, singing what could possibly be identified as a 60s folk song. From 9 to 10 minutes in, the subject continued staggering around, laughing. He's having a groovy time. He's having a groovy time. Observed behavior upon exiting SB623. Subject D251 seen actively yelling at staff and threatening violence upon leaving SB623. D251 punched Agent S blank and was quickly restrained. In detainment, D251 was observed crying and screaming on the floor, threatening suicide. The bouts of intense rage and intense despair lasted for the next 3 days. D251 was transferred off-site. Well, was he terminated or just transferred? I don't think you can use him anymore. He seems very lost. Oh my god, 30 minutes to an hour? Are you crazy? You already seen what it does with 10 minutes. You don't have to do an hour. Subject D252, male Caucasian, 28-year-old, 77 kilos, 174 centimeters. Subject D252 displays similar behavior to subject D251 with only minor differences with the first 10 minutes. After 20 minutes, the subject began to look flush, exhibiting symptoms not too dissimilar from sexual activity. He's getting aroused. Subject complained of being thirsty and hungry due to safety concerns, and to avoid a retest, D251 was given 2 liters of blank brand soda with a large pepperoni pizza and blank brand onion ring flavored snacks. Subject ate food relatively quickly, forgot what he was doing halfway through, staggered around laughing for the next 5 minutes, and continued eating. At 40 minutes elapsed time, subject repeated the word indubitably in different inflections and accents. This continued for the next 7 minutes. Agent P blank, who was observing at the time, began to laugh along with D252 before being forcibly replaced by Agent G blank. Upon removal, Agent P blank threatened to quit and expose the Foundation out of anger, was safely detained and recovered in the next 3 days. Near the end of the first hour, subject D252 began to remove shirt, pants, all undergarments, and proceeded to redact it. He probably, as I said, he was aroused. But now we know that apparently people that observe this for too long get affected by it too. So it's not a good idea to look at it too long. Observe behavior upon exiting SB623. Oh, this guy is going to lose it. This guy he's been in there for an hour. He's gonna go crazy. He's gonna go cuckoo for crazy puffs. He's gonna go nuts. Absolute bananas. Immediately after leaving SB623, subject D252 began to scream violently and spastically attack its escort. D252 was restrained and detained. Upon being released into its cell, the subject began to claw his own face off in horror, screaming about how he still sees it without his eyes. Subject was then placed in restraint for the remainder of observation to ensure he could no longer harm himself or others. Subject did not recover for nearly 2 weeks and was later transferred off-site. So they recovered. But oh my god, can you imagine you recover after this and you just realize you clawed your own eyes out? What are you doing? After the 1 hour, you should be like, okay, you know what? It's too dangerous to go beyond. Buzz Lightyear goes to infinity and beyond. We don't need to do that. Subject D253, male Caucasian 35-year-old, 118 kilograms, 198 centimeters. Additional information should include that subject D253 was previously charged with serial murder, animal cruelty. Data expunged. Great, we have a very lovely human being here. Their psychological evaluation showed an additional history of sociopathy and regular outbursts of anger. Why would you want him? Because if he leaves as the SCP, he's gonna go. He doesn't have guns, but he would probably try to pull a gun out of nowhere. Subject D253 was escorted into the room in a full body restraint. Upon entering, the subject who had previously threatened to kill Agent S. Blank as soon as he got out of the restraint began apologizing profusely. Before the first 5 minutes elapsed, D253 began to engage Agent S. Blank in a conversation of a sophomoric manner. Agent S. Blank was escorted out of the room, quickly displaying a headache and emotional turmoil upon leaving. Yeah, but don't leave. Don't let the agent stay in there too long, otherwise they will get fucked in the head. Subject D253 exhibited the behavior of the previous test subject and was given the appropriate food and water to last through the day. For the test. By the second hour, the subject requested to use a latrine. The request was denied, but Agent G. Blank was able to bring the necessary equipment into the room without disrupting its effect. By the fifth hour, the subject behavior deteriorated into repetitive fidgeting and incoherent rambling. Subject is suspected to be hallucinating. Subject fell asleep around 6 hours elapsed time. Subject later awoke 12 hours later, having great difficulty standing back up. D253 spent the next 6 hours laughing and babbling on the floor before being escorted out. Here we go. Here's where everything goes wrong. Upon leaving, subject D253 began to convulse shortly before redacted. The autopsy of subject D253 proved useless as redacted. Well, he's dead. He died. So they must be seeing something in the room, don't they? Otherwise they wouldn't because apparently this second test also said he can still see it, which at first I assumed was the room, but now it might be things inside there that only show up after a certain amount of minutes spent. Observed behavior upon wait, what? This one is test results only available in those security. Okay. Upon leaving, subject D253 began to convulse shortly before collapsing to the ground and expelling all bodily fluids. In addition, subject D253 lost his hair, eyes, teeth, finger, and toenails. The autopsy of subject D253 proved useless as there was no organic matter left to study. Studying subject D253's bodily fluid also proved futile as there was no cell left to be found. It cleansed him from top to bottom. He's just an empty husk. Wow. Is unknown what causes redacted after 6 hours within SB623, but it may be part of the room's effect on the body itself. That was crazy. I love it. I love this SCP. This one is a fun one. This one is one I could potentially do as well as a video. I need to write those things down afterwards. Afterwards, I need to go through all the SBs I read and be like, yep, taking that, yep, taking this one to make for a web series. Next one is called Personal Music Player, and it's an iPod. It's just an iPod. Is Dr. Z Blank just always here? This is the third time we see him. Is he just here with with the SCPs that just have to do with like a lot of like. So we have plants that look cool. We have a room that's groovy, and now we have a music player. He's just always around with the cool stuff. SCP-623. It's a save again. SCP-624 is to be stored inside 16. It's also inside 16. That makes sense. That's why Dr. Z blank is here. Safe storage room and charged frequently by testing person. I forgot. Testing personnel. Testing is open to all Site-16 personnel with proper clearance. Personnel access to SCP-624 is otherwise restricted. SCP-624 is not to be taken off Site-16 unless in the event of an emergency. SCP-624 must be listened to through regular headphones before being played on regular speakers. SCP-624 is not to be played at Site-16 social functions for entertainment due to containment protocols and possible risk of humiliation of Site-16's personnel. Humiliation? What does it make you do? What, do you end up trying to sing, but you sing horribly? Audio created by SCP-624 is not to be sold commercially nor shared through file sharing networks. Oh. What kind of audio are we talking about? Does it like reveal the next best hit song before the song actually comes out? Addendum 1 again. Is this all written by the same person? It feels like it almost, right? Okay. Personnel who do not listen to music, do not like music, or have zero musical influences are not allowed to test SCP-624. See test log 1. Who in the world doesn't like music? Or at least, like, I feel like music is so broad. You can have one genre for you. There is one genre for you. For sure. There's no way that anybody in the world goes like, yeah, no, I hate every type of music. It's like, how? How does that work? How do you live? So do you, like, I'll be very baffled if I ever met a person like that. I would definitely ask questions. I'll be like, there's no way that you don't listen to any music at all in your life, and so on. I know there's some people that don't really care what the music has to say, as in like rhythm wise or lyrics wise or beats or the harmonies behind it and all that stuff. I know there's some people that don't associate that at all, and they're just like, oh, I like this song, I don't know why, or I hate this song, I don't know why. But not listen to music at all, I feel like that's impossible in my book. SCP-624 is a SanDisk Sansa E200R MP3 player and voice recorder. The back of the player says SCP-624 contains 2 GB of memory. That's pretty small. I mean, I have 16 GB on my iPad Nano, so that's what I'm saying. But it's pretty good. Like, that is at least, I would say, like 200 to 300 songs, maybe, at best. I think so. I have a 1,600, and that's like 8 GB, I believe. I might be wrong. Although the original owner's manual claims there are preloaded sample songs, there are no files stored within its memory when played on normal speakers. Uploading music to SCP-624 seems to be impossible, as every program tested, including iTunes, Rhapsody, and Yahoo Music, have all returned with encountering errors. When powering up SCP-624 through headphones, a tone will play, and this tone will be picked up through SCP-624's microphone. If SCP-624 does not detect the tone, it will shut down as if it were locked. If SCP-624 hears the tone from normal speakers, SCP-624 will power on normally, but contain no stored data. If SCP-624 detects the tone from a pair of headphones, SCP-624 automatically fills its library with 2 GB worth of music. The music in question is all written, produced, played, and sung by the wearer of the headphones, regardless of current musical talent. Each song comes with an appropriate album cover and the listener artist profile, which is factually incorrect, possibly based on an alternate timeline if the listener had become a full-time musician. Oh. That is interesting. Okay. Cool. Okay. So if I were to listen to it through headphones, it would be me. Which would kind of be kind of weird. But I would be kind of curious. I would be kind of curious, like, to know what an alternate version of me would write for songs. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I want to test it out on myself. I'm just saying it would be kind of interesting. I'm not saying there needs to be an SCP. I would just be interested in general how that would work. Like, if I could visit my alternate timeline self, and one of them happens to be a musician, I'd be like, okay, show me your songs, man. I want to know what you do. And then I'll be like, man, you write good songs. So, man, your songs are horrible. Exposed to the musically inclined, SB624 will generate specific songs or improve songs that it may have already written. When exposed to test subject with little to no musical experience, SB624 will generate music based on their favorite music influences, regardless of if they like the generated music or not. These songs tend to be very consistent to the listener, but most songs are added based on musical influences. If space runs out when the listener is introduced to a new musical influence, the listener's least favorite songs are replaced. When shut down, the songs are subsequently deleted until SB624 is introduced to the listener once more. Once powered up through headphones, the listener may unplug his or her headphones and connect SB624 to normal speakers. The other files themselves cannot be transferred but can be dubbed onto a separate recording device. So far, this seems pretty cool. This seems like an SCP that doesn't do anything bad. It's just a cool concept. But we're not done reading it. There's still all this, so who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Subject D. What? Okay, this is clearly all written by the same dude, because now we have D256. So the one who written that's in the can, and who was it was also wait hold on. I need to now double check. Yeah, there's in the can and the groovy room. I think these are all the same people. And Hypnobulbs, maybe. There's no D class here, but Dr. Z Blank is here. So maybe this is all written by the same person. I'm just curious now. Oh well. Subject D256, subject favorite genre is grindcore music. Artist profile death. Expletive redacted began the rise to infamy after the deadly set at Hellfest 3, resulting in several injuries and one recorded death. Death expletive redacted lineup includes 2 drummers, 2 bassists, 3 rhythm guitarists, and 2 lead guitarists. Death expletive redacted's original lead singer R Blank committed suicide by gunshot wound on stage during the expletive redacted tour 2000 blank. Music results: music is extremely loud and very brutal, lasting between 5 to 45 seconds, resulting in more than 1,000 tracks. A common trend among these tracks are atonal noise, screaming, cursing, and sounds from movie clips. The lyrics mostly concern violence, rape, murder, data expunge. Subject was very pleased with the result and requested a personal copy of the created music. This request was denied. Subject comments: explain with that. Yeah, this is awesome. So we already know, because the D class are all criminals, that this guy is definitely a dick, a bit of a shithead. Bit of a scum of the earth, you know. Subject E-class personnel. E-class personnel. What the fuck is an E-class personnel? I only know the E-class. What the hell? Okay. E blank W blank subject favorite genre is adult alternative and has experience in playing guitar. This profile, E blank W blank, is one of today's biggest names in acoustic pop and soul, sharing the same bill with such names as John Mayer and Jack Johnson. E blank W blank began playing guitar at the age of 8 and continued on to other instruments such as piano, trumpet, and drums. E blank W blank also starred in Disney High School Musical High School Musical series, competing with Summerland stars like Afro for the role of Troy. Music result. Music is very relaxed and modern sounding. Lyrics mostly concern romance and recreational activities. Subject stated multiple songs were originally written by him, but were all much of high quality, both in writing, performance, and recording quality. Subject was surprised and initially very happy, but later saddened by the test results. God, I wish I could sing like that. Yeah, of course. At the end, you might get a bit depressed knowing that this thing is like, this is you as a singer, and you're like, man, he's good, but I will never be like this. But this is cool. I love that this basically doesn't really have any negatives to it. It's just literally is just you as a singer. It just shows you. It just gives you a test of how it is if you were a singer. Level 2 security agent E blank. Subject does not normally listen to music, but would like to hear the results. Others profile D blank E blank unknown artist. Music consists of 72 tracks, all labeled by number. Each track contains autobiography of the subject by year, narrated by the subject himself in clear theatrical voice. Personnel initially questioned the accuracy of the autobiography due to the inaccuracies of the previous tests, but track number blank 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 confirmed its accuracy when the narrator referred to its very test, stating that the subject will leave the room when they begin playing back 72. The subject became distraught by the remaining biography as data expunged and subsequently left the testing room by track 71. 2/3 through the final track, the narrator begins to scream as data expunged, presumably killing him. The sounds of redacted and inhuman crackling are heard for the remainder of the track. I never want to know what happens to me on the final track. I know I said you were going to tell me, but please don't tell me. See, okay, yeah, this is bad. Now we're coming back to the horror section of this side. But at the end, I listen to music, so if I were to actually use this thing, it would not do that to me. I hope. E-class personnel L blank P blank. It should be of note that L blank P blank, while aware of music, does not like or listen to music. Again, you're gonna probably suffer then. L blank P blank does not think highly of herself. She thinks she's ugly and alone. She has frequent thoughts of suicide between lusting after names redacted. L blank P blank does not know why she gets up in the morning. Music results. The playlist does not consist of music, but a list of blank names from side 16 personnel. When played, the subject voice would state her deepest opinions on the track staff member. Despite protests from the subject, testing personnel played every track in order to find any discrepancies. Subject was visibly angry. Turn it off. I said turn it off. Yeah, because it's basically her thoughts, right? That's an invasion of privacy on her. Again, yes, most of the D class, in this case E class, I guess, are criminals, but that doesn't mean that you should pry on what they think, on their secrets, you know. They're just here to do your tests. No need to like in the moment you're aware like it's her thoughts. Just leave it at that. Be like, okay, it's her thoughts. That's all we need to know. Subject D258. It should be of note that subject D258 does not listen to music. When questioned, subject D258 could not name one genre or band, stating all music is noise. That's what I mean. Like, people can say that all music to them is just noise, but I feel like you can still like music or listen to music. I mean, I guess in this case, but this is actually saying it can also be other way around, right? It can just be somebody who doesn't listen to music at all. Subject D25. Artist profile blank blank was born on blank blank 19 blank to blank blank and blank 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 went to the following schools. Data expunged. Blank blank was eventually convicted of data expunged. He was later recruited by an organization known as the SAP Foundation to test on one of the many strange relics. As blank blank committed suicide shortly after this test. Oh wait, there's another extra test log down here. Let me guess, it's like extra long because it's not that long actually. Music consists of one track of unknown bitrate and quality exceeding several days, possibly years worth of time, squeezing into exactly 2 gigabytes when played. Data expunged had no effect on listening personnel, but sent subject D258 into a state of shock. Subject D258 committed suicide via blunt force trauma to the head. When fast forward to the end of the track vaguely sounds like subject D258 being transferred to side 16, with what sounds like D258's thoughts in the background, mostly violent and insulting thoughts towards the staff, turning to horror upon hearing SB624, After subject D258 suicide, the track continues playing past its runtime and cuts to data expunged. It's not known how much longer the track continues, as all personnel present quickly fled the testing room and demanded testing to be ceased immediately. Personnel present to data expunged were reportedly visible shaking for days. Subject comments, no official statement was given. Subject D258 last words were, "My soul is on this machine." Note, active testing ceased on SB624 for freelance testing by personnel. See test log to Dr. Z blank. I'm going to see what this is all about. This is a test log of SCP-624 by site blank personnel and visiting staff of scope SB624's ability. Please remember that SB624 is not a toy, and you must do these tests at your own risk. Dr. Z blank. Warning: personnel who do not listen to music, do not like music, or have zero musical influence are not allowed to test subject 624. Why is that crossed out? That should not be crossed out. Oh well. Note, I said it before and I say it again, SB624 is not a toy. You may use it for testing, but if you want to hear yourself become a famous musician, go take some music lessons. Our job is to seek out the range of SB624's ability. As of 8/31/16, this test log is for anomalous test results only. To see the control test, refer to test log 1. Dr. D blank, level 4 security. God damn, I wanted to see all the different music things that would happen, but oh well, makes sense, yeah. At the end, like, it's not, nobody cares like how you sound as a musician. That's not what they want to test it for. Jesus. Instructions for testing SB624. Charge SB624 from a computer or 30-pin personnel MP3 player charger on an iPod only. 30-pin charger will not work. Hook up a pair of headphones to SB624 and power it on. Earbuds, noise cancellation, headphones, and speakers will not work. Record your findings in the following format: subject, artist profile, music results, subject comments. Press the black button twice after playing a song to see the artist profile. Report the generated music style and genre if it has a genre. Once finished, include a short blurb of the subject experience in the comment section. Okay, here we go. Dr. D blank's level 4 security. Subject did not profess his favorite music. Artist M blank D blank did not invent the fart joke, but he certainly improved on it. Associated with such names as Adam Sandler and Bill Hicks. M blank D blank has been featured on such shows as Saturday Night Live and Mad TV for his talents in stand-up and comic songs. M blank D blank wrote and directed the 2000 blank summer flop redacted movie, unanimously rated the worst movie of all time. Wow. Mostly lowbrow stand-up and lewd acoustic guitar songs. Most tracks concern typical family problems, bodily function, sex, and politics. Subjects visibly angry at the results. Not funny. It seems SB624 isn't limited to specific genres of music, but the scope of the listener's imagination. Again, I am to remind all side blank personnel that all access to SB624 is strictly for experimental purposes only, and that SB624 is not to be played inside blank break room for now. Scratched out, Dr. Z blank. Note, Dr. Z blank, I think you mean is not to be played inside blank break room ever, and under the penalty of demotion if you do. Dr. D blank level Dr. Z blank is like, I kind of wanna find out myself. I guess this doctor was like, hey, once we have done with testing, if you guys want to know how you sound like as a famous or stand-up comedian or musician, we can do that. And then Dr. D blank was like, nope, we cannot do that. That's not what we do here. Agent E blank, it should be of note that Agent E blank partook in the original test of SCP-624 and has since gotten into rap music. Okay. East Coast and West Coast collide, forming E Dizzle. E Dizzle is the first rapper to not only tour with Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls, but united the now duo for the first two in 2002. E. Dizzle helped discover and produce for rapper Eminem. Much mystery surrounding E. Dizzle's death in 2000 blank, but his legacy still lives on. One thing I have a question for is, when they die on certain things, like in this world, do they die in real life afterwards as well? Like if it says like 2000 blank they died, will Agent E die on that date as well? Music consists of a strange new form of rap listed under the genre Hybrid Coast, mixing West Coast funk synth and East Coast orchestras. 208 of the 406 tracks contain guest rappers, most of whom are rivals or dead in this timeline. Subject initially pleased with results, only to learn the date of his death is the same from the previous test. Says, if you guys could just let me take this outside and blast this over my car speakers. Hold on, what year did the artist profile thing say? Subject then proceeded to repeatedly scream about the year. Testing ceased shortly after. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, if the thing says you're gonna die on this day, then you're gonna die on this day. Sorry about my laundry. Let me just close the door. Sorry about that, guys. It's going wild. It's going wild. Dr. L. Blank subject claims to like orchestral music, but says she prefers audiobooks. Author profile Pulitzer and Nobel Prize winner Haley L. Blank is one of the most prolific novelists of the 21st century, having written 40 novels in 20 years, roughly 2 novels a year. Mrs. L. Blank is well renowned for her fiction, writing seminars, drawing students from all over the world. Much controversy surrounds Mr. L. Blank's strange autobiography, released only in audio format. Okay, here we go. The result were not music, but a chronological list of audiobooks, all read by the subject. The genres of each audiobook don't seem to follow any sort of pattern. The first book, Seasons of Longing, is a historical romance that slowly gains fantasy time travel elements as it goes on. The next novel, Hills of Glory, is a war story that switches to supernatural horror halfway through. The stories of these audiobooks are captivating according to the listening researchers and continue increasing quality as they go on. Culminating in the second to last track, All This Time, a family epic with supernatural elements. The final track, Unknown Track 00000, started out as a straightforward autobiography of the writer. The narrator begins by talking about her home life, how she picked up writing, and how she wrote her first novel, but then the narrator begins berating the subject for not making the same choice. Growing increasingly angry and louder, all attempts to turn down the volume do nothing to quiet the narrator screaming and insult. SB624 was disconnected from the speaker, shut off, and testing ceased. That is rude! The SCP just yells at you for not doing the same thing. Like, what? Subject had no official comments. Subject requested temporary leave from the Foundation. The request was denied. Subject requested Class A amnestic. The request was also denied. That is unfair. That's unfair. Come on. She's gotta live with the mind in the back of her head that she could have been a successful audiobook author, and but she probably wants to also like either A, make it happen in real life, because literally an SCP yelled at her for not doing this, and now you're not going to give her amnestics to forget all this, because she's gonna have to just live with the fact that she could be doing something greater, or like something that actually might please her, you know, and not be in this hellhole of a Foundation. That's unfair. Subject: Technician An Mi Seong. Musical preferences include traditional Chinese and Tibetan music, folk rock, world beat, and reggae. Amy Song, born An Mi Seong, is the latest A-pop sensation to explode on the international scene. Her upbeat lyrics, infectious beats in sparkling melodies, and perky stage presence are sweeping the pop world, an up-and-coming idol not to be missed. So again, I kind of wish I could do this without the SCP. You know, without the SCP fuckery behind it, that tells you the date when you die, or that it yells at you because you didn't do the same thing. I would love to just know, like, if I were an actual musician in a different reality, what kind of music would I do? What are the lyrics? How successful am I? And so on and so forth. I would love that. I would love to find that out. But also at the same time, I might end up being a stand-up comedian, and I want to know, am I funny? Am I good? Who knows? Music results: 4 albums worth of cookie-cutter A-pop music, bouncing upbeat with catchy pop hooks and high-pitched girly vocals, mostly musings on love and relationships, description of activities with friends, and 1 album of music for animated harem comedy series, an anime. No, if I ever end up doing any expletive redacted thing anywhere, expletive redacted close to that, just feed me to 682 expletive redacted. That just makes me wonder how SCP-624 determines the music the user potentially creates, especially if it clashes with their personality. Dr. Z. So he is not happy with the fact that he made this type of music and that she became an idol, which is interesting. Because so far everybody else kind of was like happy with what they made, but this one's the first one where the subject was like, "This sucks. Why am I making music like this?" D861. Subject is deaf and cannot hear. Audit profile name redacted. Listen. A series of tracks with names like O's 10 kids, and most peculiarly redacted. Selecting any of the tracks resulted in a loud feedback noise that made everyone but subject D861 cover their ears. Testing personnel proceeded to listen through the headphones. Audio was a sharp, tiny version of the noise within the room. When subject D861 put on the headphones, he was visibly stunned and began shouting how he could hear for the first time. Subject D861 proceeded to converse with the other staff, finally able to hear his own voice and the voice of those around him. Subject was then asked to listen to the other tracks. The track sent the subject into a state of brief shock, but would not describe what he was hearing. He quickly switched back to that other tracks carried other anomalies, tracks that could hear everything in other languages, that canceled out reverb, that censored foul languages, and more. Finally, subject D861 listened to redacted. Subject shows no reaction at first, but gradually begins screaming at what he hears, throwing the headphones off. According to his interpreter, subject D861's last words were, "So many voices, and they finally heard us." This was fun. This is an amazing SCP, I gotta say, because like I just love the idea. I just love the idea behind it. I think it's a really cool idea that it's just like creates that you can hear yourself become either famous or dumb. But I think it's an amazing idea of an SCP. I think it's really good. We reached halfway. So, ankle biters. Okay. Yes. Euclid Flecto. I don't know what Flecto means. I saw something similar in the other. I think in the 610s I saw something like Safe Flecto or something like that. I forgot. All specimens of SCP-625, and my best mate still hasn't. Oh wait, he is online again, but I don't think he's gonna come to the stream, which is a shame. Oh well. All specimens of SCP-625 are to be contained within a 5x5x7 meter room constructed of reinforced concrete at Site 19, Wing 8. The door to his room is located approximately 5 meters from the floor and opens to a balcony with a railing. Use of the installed platform elevator system is required to access SCP-625 specimens. The following features are also present in SCP-625 cell. 5 high-powered ceiling-mounted flood lamps. These are to remain off except when personnel are present in the containment chamber, in which case they will remain active until all personnel have exited the cell. Excited. Are you excited, cell? No. 4 ceiling-mounted security cameras. The feed from these cameras is monitored for unusual activity by personnel at security station A85. 1 device designed to emit randomized ultrasonic noise when active. This is to be activated only during security breaches or if a security breach is deemed imminent. Identical devices are installed in the remainder of Wing 8 for the same purpose. 17 specimens of SCP-625 are currently in containment. More are believed to exist in the wild. Police reports suggesting SCP-625 presence must be investigated. Routine maintenance and feeding of SCP-625 and its cells to be performed daily by Level 1 personnel in accordance with procedure 625-M once daily. Livestock has been deemed to be the safest, most cost-effective food for SCP-625. Update, February 25th, 1995. SB625 may not be exposed to other rodents under any circumstances. Further testing on SB625 requires authorization from Dr. McGregor. Not sure what these... Oh, these are just the ICP. Okay. Further, any specimen of SB625 that has consumed human flesh on more than one occasion must be terminated. The body may be disposed of inside 19th incinerator. Okay, so it really likes to eat. That's the first thing I noticed, that it likes to eat a lot. Instances of SCP-625 are nocturnal organisms composed primarily of distinct sections from no less than 7 different species of rodentia, so I guess rats. Rodentia sounds like rodents, so I assume rats. They range between 20 and 30 centimeters in length, and when unfed weigh between 2 and 2.5 kilograms. When left alone in my average home, why do I always feel like I'm in Twilight Zone? And when left alone, SCP-625 specimens do not exhibit unusual behavior. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Maybe it's just a dream. Whoa. They engage in attempts at reproduction but appear to be infertile. It is unclear whether this is an effect of being kept in captivity or whether specimens of SCP-625 in the wild are also infertile. Crossed out. Data expunged. SCP-625 specimens are omnivorous and have metabolic requirements comparable to those of other rodents their size. Specimens do not necessarily have a body plan conforming to that of non-anomalous rodents. Instances have been located that do not possess bilateral symmetry, as have instances that possess an abnormal number or arrangement of limbs. All instances have extremely sensitive eyes and ears and have 2 claws between 12 and 16 centimeters. That is long. In length on each foreleg. What the fuck? SCP-625 specimens are capable of using these claws for rudimentary manipulation. SCP-625 has been observed licking its claw frequently. Analysis of SCP-625 saliva has been revealed the presence of a powerful local anesthetic, which is produced by a specialized gland located in each specimen's body. And here we have a footnote. Attempts to synthesize or analyze this anesthetic have failed. See document 30 for further information. Wow, they should just slap some poison on those claws. They're just Wolverines. It's just Laura. With those 2 claws right here. SCP-625 specimens will sharpen their claws whenever possible, resulting in an edge that is capable of cutting through flesh and most clothing materials. Each instance of SCP-625 appears to have a unique composition, with tissue from any individual species comprising no more than 30% of the specimen's total mass. Separate sections are joined together seamlessly on a cellular level, although there is no mixing. Despite being composed of biologically incompatible tissues, no allergic reactions or other health issues have been noted. SCP-625 is capable of surviving the majority of its bones being crushed and the removal of significant quantities of flesh without significant impairment for up to 45 minutes. The reason for this is this thing is the real cockroach that survives a nuclear war. And it still moves around and just has claws like 16 centimeter long claws for like a rodent. Those things, that's long, dude. That's fucking long. Specimens of SCP-625 may be subdued by bright lights, bigger than 400 lumens, or ultrasonic noises. And exposed to these stimuli, specimens will enter a dormant state in which they do not react to external stimuli. This state will last for approximately 8 seconds after the removal of the offending stimulus. When not in a subdued state, instances of SCP-625 are hostile to humans. When aware of the presence of a human, SCP-625 will exhibit increased speed and strength, and will cause less noise than normal. Speeds in excess of 35 kilometers per hour and ability to exert forces of 400 newtons, which I don't know how much that is. Due to unusual muscle structure, SCP-625 is capable of jumping approximately 2 meters vertically in this state. It can reach my head. necessitating a relatively tall containment chamber. Oh boy. Also, how much is 400 newtons? How much is 400 newtons? Tell me how much is 400 newtons, huh? 40 kilograms of force. That little thing is strong. SCP-625 will attempt to approach any human subject without the subject noticing. If it goes unnoticed, SCP-625 will use its claws to remove a radial slab. Ow. I got something in my back. Approximately 3 centimeters in height from each ankle of the subject. Attempting to leave the bone intact due to the anesthetic produced by SCP-625, the subject will not experience pain. It is possible for the subject to suffer from severe blood loss before becoming aware of the condition. Instances of SCP-625 will compete with each other for access to human ankles. Well, why the ankles? Why the ankles, dude? Henry, you're going after my ankles. The professional basketball players want to break my ankles. Upon obtaining these slabs of flesh, the specimen will attempt to retreat to a nearby dark, secluded place where it will consume the meat. SCP-625 does not appear to use human flesh for nutritional purposes. Rather, data expunge behavior alteration will not become obvious until the 4th time SCP-625 engages in this behavior. Addendum: all wild specimens of SCP-625 have been recovered from blank Scotland. Which makes the most sense if you think about it. The fact that most of the people there were kilts. Well, not most of the people, I mean, but kilts are a common thing in Scotland. I can imagine this thing is like, ooh, free ankles. Don't mind if I go, gotta go fast. Due to the sparse population of this area, geographic analysis of recovery location of SCP-625 was able to suggest a connection with a cabin owned by one Peter Moray, a local recluse. Interviews with those familiar with Peter Moray provided little information of interest other than that the subject complained of frequent migraines, headaches, and may have suffered from disorganized schizophrenia. The subject was found dead in his cabin approximately 20 days after the first reports of SCP-625. Behavior analysis suggests that he was dead for approximately 1 week before the aforementioned report. Cause of death was blood loss during an apparent attempt by the subject to amputate his legs below the knee with a saw. A journal kept by the subject was generally incomprehensible, but suggests that he feared the animals that he had taxidermized. No evidence suggests that Peter Murray has ever owned any taxidermed animals. I mean, it would make sense why they suddenly have like claws like that, but like if there are multiple of these things, right? So, wow, these things don't get around. They don't play around whatsoever. Okay. I'm glad that today we have some couple short ones. Vision altering sculpture. I'm gonna check on the laundry how much longer it takes before it needs to switch to drying. Four more minutes. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to read this in 4 minutes, but might as well try to get as far as possible, hey? Save. This one has a lot of saves, gotta say. SCP-626 is to be kept in a standard lockbox at Site 19's high value item storage facility. Standard positive action defenses, explosive, chemical, biological, and pneumatic are to be in place at all times, according to standard operation procedure. Research is currently suspended pending review, see below. Description: SCP-626 is a metallic structure approx 72 centimeters in height. While SCP-626 appears to be made of some sturdy material, it has very low mass for its own volume. Possibly indicating that it is hollow. It consists of a base which rises to a central stem supporting a sphere. The sphere's surface is broken by numerous protrusions, each of which ends in a sphere in a similar arrangement to the base. When SCP-626 is in the presence of a human being, the subject's sight begins to deteriorate. Close examination reveals that the rods and cones within the eye begin to to dissipate, rendering the eye unable to differentiate shapes and colors. After approximately 7 hours, the subject is unable to detect any light through the eyes. The loss of vision occurs whether or not the subject is able to see SCP-626, but appears to be dependent on the subject's knowledge that SCP-626 is present. Any material that can block visible light will also block the effects of SCP-626. After at least 15 hours of exposure to SCP-626, the subject's sight begins to return. Post-mortem examination of subject eyes from this stage have shown no rods or cones are present any longer, yet the subject regains the ability to see color, shape, and degrees of light and darkness. Testing has shown that the restored vision is often sharper than the subject's previously visually acuity. Once vision is fully restored, which usually occurs in under 30 minutes, the subject begins experiencing visual hallucination, often of ghosts or other humanoid beings that seemingly ignore our physical reality. At this stage, subject will progress to the final stage even if removed from SCP-626 presence. Once hallucinations begin, the subject will begin a gradual mental deterioration, beginning with a loss of logical and speech capabilities. Over the course of several days, the subject's brain's function will gradually cease. During this time, the subject may attempt to follow their hallucinations through walls and other solid objects. Care should be taken to ensure the subject do not harm themselves. Once all major brain function is lost, the subject becomes catatonic and dies within several hours. Upon the subject's death, the eyes shrivel and dry out, all liquid evaporating from them in a matter of seconds. No matter the distance between the subject and SCP-626 at times of death, the evaporated fluid condenses on the surface of SCP-626 and is then apparently absorbed onto its surface. Ow. Dr. Blank has expressed concern over the details of some of the most recent subject hallucinations. The subject was able to describe a ghost standing behind Dr. Blank, which resembled the researcher's wife, who had died several months ago of congenital heart failure. The subject, with no prior knowledge of Dr. Blank's or his family, was able to answer several questions about Mrs. Blank's medical condition at the time of her death. Further research suspended pending O5 level review. Okay. Well, shit. You get to see better for a little bit, but the consequence is death, and also being able to see ghosts. We're almost done. There's 3 left. 3 left plus. Oh boy. Okay. This one has a bit of a long read. Okay, what is this one? Perpetual Circle. All right. Experts from the personal. That's the wrong page. Save again. This one has the most saves. Okay, I'm gonna wait a little bit because now I'm pretty sure my laundry is going to get ready to switch over. Well, okay, that's 1 more minute. That's 1 more minute. We might as well wait a little bit. How are you guys feeling so far? Ooh, I have to pack afterwards. Is this the same thing? Or is this just extra stuff? Okay, there's not much extra stuff, but it is extra stuff. This one might be the longest one to read, which is fine because we had this is the last 3 ones, so it's fine that there's at least one longer one. It's almost 2 hours of a read what we had so far, which is nice. It probably will be like an hour, 2 hours and a half probably. Well, maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes. Depends how fast we get through this one and the rest of them. It's still doing its thing, so I'm going to read now. 1 Class D personnel designated D627 is to be assigned to SCP-627. This assignment is for life. As long as the D class what is the name again? Sorry. Perpetual Circle. As long as the Class D is so assigned, he is rendered exempt from the monthly termination. SB627 is to be kept in a stone basin approximately 1 meter across. Once daily, SB627 is to be removed from its basin so that the lubrication may be applied to the basin. Once weekly, SB627 is to be removed so that the basin may be inspected for wear. The basin is to be replaced if it shows signs of wearing out. Testing on SB627 is currently denied to all researchers. Description: SB627 was brought into the Foundation in December of 1932 by senior researcher A. E. Fleeing religious persecution in Germany. Oh my god, that's getting loud now, isn't it? Senior researcher E. found SCP-627 during his work with the German government on their own SCP protocols and felt it could be more useful with us. SCP-627 is a sphere made of unknown stone flecked with blue of approximately 3 centimeters in height. When not enclosed, to find a skin contact or in clothing being worn. Contact with a human being, SCP-627 rolls in a circle approximately 1 meter across. It will not avoid inanimate obstacles, instead rolling up and over any impediments. It will never attempt to go around impediments, and if contained in a space smaller than 1 meter, will increase in speed until it has worn itself a way out. When confined to a small space, SCP-627 is capable of breaking the speed of sound. When not confined, SCP-627 rolls at a speed of approximately 6 rotations a minute. This ball be going fast. I'm going to read the rest of this. We need to figure this one out. If we can just understand how it does what it does, we could have an unlimited supply of energy on the top of the research on its stat. Site blank supervisor J blank, R blank, O blank. Note, 2 years later, I figured out what to do with it. We still need the redacted will works. Okay, same year. We're moving forward with the process as of now. Good job, A blank. You got a promotion coming. We'll be dead expunged. Site blank supervisor, and then 3 years later, my god, what have we done? Okay, so first we go see what this rolls in a circle approximately 1 meter. That's this part of the story. But I'm pretty sure now. I will wait till it beeps, goddamn. Instead of me always going back and forth. Excerpts from the personal diary of Nikola Tesla. Ooh, Nikola Tesla is now in the SCP Foundation. The SCP Foundation lore. Also, let me make this a little bit louder. There we go. March 18th, 1901, regarding SB627, obtained from his apartment on January 7th, 1943, by SB agent expunged. Warden bought me the land. The deal is in its final stages and construction will begin sometime in the winter. The proposed laboratory has ample room and direct access to the rail line. The man thinks I'm going to boom the local economy and the city will spring up because of my work. He does not know why I'm really here and what I'm set to accomplish. Free energy, producing enough electricity that will no longer need wires. Isolated nations will be brought to the modern age through the work of one simple machine. The orb is the key. I don't know where Jack got it. I just know that there is a perpetual motion to it, and that I've been unable to destroy it and find out what is inside. Striking it with a hammer was useless. Using a cutting torch only made it warm to the touch. Having someone drive a railroad spike into it bent the spike. Throughout all the tests I've done and ran on this creation, it still continues to roll by itself. And there it is, in the rough span of a meter. Nothing is seeming to animate this. To the ear there's nothing. It's normally cool as any stone or glass is to the touch, save the rough edges of the flecks of blue material on the surface. I've done everything I can, short of smashing it with an industrial Okay, be right back. With an industrial press. Smashing with an industrial press caused severe damage to the press. I'm not short $50 to pay for the damages. So we have Nikola Tesla doing tests on SCP. That's pretty dope. I like that. That's good. That's cool. June 18th, 1901. Wardenclyffe or Clive. The man thinks that my ambitions is going to put his name on the map. He has no idea what I have in store. for the world. The ball still rolls on the smooth stone floor of the laboratory space, and the sound can get agitating in the dead of the night. I've begun to design a machine that will use the perpetual motion of this orb in order to produce energy, refining it and focusing it into a coil. I need to give him a voice. Into a coil of iron and copper. Using one of my coil designs from earlier, modified appropriately. I'm going to need workers if I'm going to power the seaboard. Work shall begin post-haste. Edison arrived at the lab the other day. The man, while brilliant, is backwards and not as much of a dreamer as I. He may have won over the masses, but I do not need popularity in order to fulfill my goal. Popularity is the need of lesser men. DC current and AC current will be meaningless when my project succeeds. We shared a glass of tea and my assistant rushed him away to leave when workers arrived with a spool of copper wire. Insufferable. Why would you electrocute an elephant just to prove a man wrong? Elephants don't deserve to be electrocuted. The man is an ass, and this emotion is most certainly a resentment. I'm allowed emotions. I can resent the man all I please, because our rivalry is chicken seed in comparison to what is to come. The poor elephant. Ball rolls up obstacles, placed hand in way, rolled up and over hand. Placed brick in a way, rolled over brick. Placed in front of an assistant, rolled up assistant's leg, up torso and across face, dropped in the opposite side. Not doing that again. Attempts to slow it down and render its direction askew with wooden blocks also futile. Weighing it down with my hand stops it, but August 19th, 1901. Rudimentary test with coil success. Static discharge safe if grounded and when outside 20 feet. More tests on orb this morning after breakfast. Idea hit me when I woke up if I could constrict the size of the meter circumferences of the orb's path. Constructed circle of iron using scrap metal and, ironically, a path painted by the orb when covered in grease paint. Iron circle to constrict path of orb to not do that of a foot as opposed to the usual 1 meter. Test was a resounding success. Marked speed increases and increase in acceleration, difficult getting grease paint off. Orb continued at speed until iron ring was removed, then resumed at 1 meter. To call myself puzzled is an understatement. I'd give anything to be able to see what's inside of this small orb of stone. Going to test this via the extremes come Sunday. I need to get okay with a local police assistant can do that. Continuing to design coil, apparatus and tower for orb objects. Workers are beginning to construct the base and all things are looking well. I find myself not eating, too busy working. I need to remedy this and slow down for my health, but I'm so close. I can feel it in my very soul. I can help the world, perhaps bring in a new day for civilization. And the orb is the key. Sunday, August 24th, 1901. Frustrated, hitting orb with steam locomotive, derailed the locomotive. Going to sleep, too frustrated to keep train of thought. Why? Goddamn train was supposed to split it. Never again. If a bloody train can't crack this thing open, then nothing on earth can. Does not matter, plan continues. Wow. He tried to run this thing over a train and the train lost. Oof. September 11th, 1901. Found myself sleeping at workbench. Assistant roused me from sleep. I asked him what time it was. I've been working into the early dawn hours and still I'm not making appropriate progress. I need to keep the edge in the race of free energy. I have the orb, but Edison may resort to espionage and sabotage. It's not beneath the man if he willingly slandered my work like he has in the past. He has a fluke of creating the light bulb. What if someone else made the light bulb and he took it? Paranoia must be due to lack of sleep. I hate the damn sound that orb makes when it rolls on sheet metal. Copper containment must be in tube form in the final stage of design. Copper and iron. December 31st. A new year is dawning, a new year, and soon my preliminary designs will be finalized and construction will begin. The tower will be tall, over 100 feet, using wood stabilizers. The idea is the project has to be large in order to reach the effect necessary for global empowerment. George and I spoke about the money issues. I told him I needed to leave the lab to get to the city and trusted him with the orb. Before I left, I meditated in the laboratory looking over one of my electrical coils arc electricity through the room. How can I be wrong when I can see the fruits of my design? I can see my designs working? I know I'm right. I have to be right. all of this work is for nothing. January 7th, 1902. My enemies have been very successful in painting me as a poet and visionary. I've had Warden Clive for the past 3 days, thinking of moving a laboratory from Houston Street here. Tower is still under construction, but construction is going really well. I need to be able to think. I need the air around here to clear my head, and I'm frustrated and scared out of my mind of the possible outcome of the device. I could power the entire world with this, or I could ignite the atmosphere in flames and kill all life on Earth. Or absolutely nothing could happen. I need to try. Mankind has lived in the darkness far too long. Our tubing system has been tested with the orb, and the orb's conductivity, or rather the motion it has given the system a strong electrical charge. I need to constrict and focus. I am not a madman. I'm a man with vision and the will to see that vision come to fruition. Why must I remind myself as such? I worry the project has taken a toll on my mental faculties. I can't worry now. I have to see this through. May 4th, 1902. Tower needs about a year before the first test of the design. 1 year. Worried about money. I need to check again something. Okay. Yep. 1 year. Worried about money issues. A lot of it surrounding on my success. George has his workers carrying the last of the laboratory equipment to the facility today. The man's a good friend, but I worry that he may seek employment elsewhere if the money dries out. This is why I must succeed. If I don't, I'm going to be in destitution, in debt to men with more pull than I. Word came from the Colorado Springs of the sale of the grounds. It doesn't matter. The laboratory has nothing to give me anymore. All work is now to be done in Wardenclyffe. Nothing ties me to Houston Street anymore. I can work here in solitude and without interruption. The orb is the key. An iron tube 7 inches in diameter will wrap around a wooden beam in the center of the tower, wrapped in copper wire. Once the electrical charge is built up, it will shoot up in the wire and amplified by the sphere at the top of the tower. The electricity and static charge will then be capable of powering anywhere in the world by wobbling the planet's magnetosphere. I spent over 15 years working on this design. It has to work. July 10th, 1902. Today is my birthday. The test firing begins 1 year from now. The plan is finalized. All I need to do is complete the tower. Money is running dangerously low. JP Morgan and my backers have voiced the doubt. They'll be shown the way. Everyone will. I've read of a scientist in Germany and up and coming in the world of physics who might be able to assist me. The project won't survive without something commercial. I have to leave this project financially sound. This is stressing me out just reading it. Poor Tesla, man. The things he had to do just to get this to work. Nearly $1 million has been spent. The great $1 million in 1902. That's shit. That. Dollars. I mean, I'm not sure how wait, JP Morgan, right? Yeah. So $1 million in 1900 is equivalent in purchasing power to about 32 million. Million. Wait, yes, million. Oh, I thought that was another comma. Yeah, million. Ooh. That shit expensive. That's expensive. That great undertaking is nearly complete. The orb is the key. August 30th. I haven't slept for over 80 hours. I have to finish the project. Everything is in place. The incomprehensible scribbles and coffee stain mustn't malfunction. November 5th. Saw a film today. Le Voyage. The film that's the Voyage to the Moon. That's one of the first films. The movie about a group of travelers who shoot to the moon in a giant bullet-shaped craft. They encounter space aliens and manage to get their way back home. I'm not sure where I found the copy, but I allowed myself time to view it in the means of my work. I heard rumors that Edison technicians have been spreading the film about and not giving the director his due cut. This strikes me just as what Thomas would do. My hatred and rivalry for this man knows no bounds. I will outshadow him with my design. The tower shall bring in a new age of humanity, and Thomas Alva Edison will be left in the dust. Marconi and I have discussed obtaining the last bit of funds I need for my tower. He seems hesitant, and I can see it in his eyes when I talk to him. The doubt others share. I have no room for doubt. No room. His assistance is vital. However. The tower is constructed. We'll begin preparation for testing firing over the spring. For now, I need to take a moment to rest. Pigeon flew into an arc of one of these coils earlier. Today reminded me of the dangers of electricity. Going to miss her. She was one of my favorite of the flock I keep. Buried pigeon in a shoebox beside oak tree near laboratory. Oh, one of the pigeons like. January 1st, oh my god, 2 years, dude. 1903. Dosely. Benier's I guess that's because he's Serbian, right? I guess this is Serbian. February 10th, testing the conductivity today. Test went well. An odd resonance and sound from the tower. Hum. Need to investigate. Resonance is either good thing or bad thing. Workers and pigeons find sound incredibly unnerving. Workers are frightened by the scale of the project. Some of them have voiced their concerns. I tell them they're safe, and that the majority of the current is going into the earth as per the project's ultimate design. The majority of them are calmed by this, but some still show hesitance when I flip the switch for conductivity tests. The government agents arriving again this morning. They ask me what's powering the tower and why I need the carbon tube ring. I ask them what agency they belong to. They tell me they are part of a new unusual incident investigation organization of the Secret Service. They don't seem very bright. I tell them the truth and back my claims up with the old diagrams that they couldn't understand and that they were of no use to me. They thanked me for the tea I served them and left. That was a close one. I need to prepare for more scrutiny from outside forces. Yeah, because as he said, he already is aware that Thomas might try to do some espionage and sabotaging, so he has to be careful. March 18th, 1903. Rolled the orb in chalk and drew a circle on the ground. Washed it off and threw it up at the wall as hard as I could. The wall dented, the orb is fine. I doubt the small stones from our planet. It's so very, very doable. And I'll never be able to find out why it works the way it does. The why no longer matters. The what does. What does it do? It runs in a circle on its own. It speeds up the tide that its path is constricted. The ring will be small, and the energy it will produce will be enough. I washed the orb of the chalky dust and drew a map of the globe in the circle I'd drawn earlier. The grey marble will live on as the sun parallels with this little orb, flecked with blue, spinning forever and ever without a care, in a perpetual circle. Ah, that's the name drop. It's almost ready. 2 months, July 9th. Running out of money. First test could be my last. I've asked the workers today to prepare for the undertaking of their lives, and that all the work we've done will pay off within 24 hours. The faint of heart left after that speech. Only 2 dozen perhaps remain. God see me through this. I'm scared out of my mind, and I'm worried I may not survive the next 24 hours. The orb's capabilities are largely untouched. George has warned the local police, and they're blocking off a 5-mile radius around the already isolated laboratory. Tomorrow, I make history. The forest has been destroyed. The lab is on fire. The tower was too focused. The electricity shot up the tower and was focused in such a way that it punched through the atmosphere in an arc-like beam of light. It vaporized 17 men that were too close. I miscalculated everything. The shockwave knocked bolted down off of its feet and set fire to the forest that wasn't knocked down. Some of the men are deafened and blinded. Word is from my associates overseas that they detected the precise distance the beam traveled. It burned a crack into the face of the planet Mars. God forgive me for what I've done. I never meant for this. I wanted to help humanity. Men have arrived to douse the flames to take new hope. That must be the foundation. God forgive me. I never wanted this. The remainder of the page has been smeared with tears. He used the orb to power his thing up, but probably the circle that the orb was in was too fast. It was just too much power. He shot a fucking lightning bolt to Mars. Wow. And this was from this. Oh my god, what have we done? Which same as Nikola Tesla. Looks like they did something bad. Al woke up suddenly, unsure why. Something there on the edge of knowing. Was it another breakthrough? They came to him so often in his dreams. He blamed the object, although Robert would claim it was a natural genius. Al wasn't so sure anymore. Al, he'd been using that name so long it came naturally to him. He had many names over the years and even some numbers, but he'd been doing this job for so long his handlers just called him Al. Or AI, maybe? I don't know. It was a mark of respect or possible trust. He wasn't sure which. He slung his feet over the edge of the cot, trying to figure out what had woken him. His mind drifted as it was wont to. Wait, his mind drifted as it was wont to do these days. Okay, this job had been intended as a reward for services rendered. Then the job title started to mean something. It hadn't when he took it and things got rough until someone stepped in. It was funny back in the day when he first took the job. They had all sorts of plans and has to have to disguise him so his handlers wouldn't recognize him in the end. His suggestion that they cut his hair proved to work wonders. He let it grow out since then, but everyone thought he was dead these days, so it didn't matter. He was given everything he wanted, lots of paper, access to the object, and all the latest information on scientific advances. In return, he kept turning over his papers to the Foundation, giving them all sorts of new information they could use for whatever they use it for. He didn't care anymore. All he wanted was to be left alone in my average home, and not to have to think about his sins. He pondered again his wakefulness. It couldn't have been the object. He was used to the sound of nothing. He tilted his head to the left, listened. Nothing. The sound had become a part of his life, had stopped. Al lunged for the box he kept by his bed, opening the lid carefully. The track was smooth, the oil was fresh, the object was still. Slowly, reverently, he reached within, picking up the object gingerly. He remembered the destruction it could cause if enclosed, but no, nothing, not a shred of movement. His mind raced in a desperate attempt to find the cause. None of his previous theories have ever accounted to this. Matter plus mass, no, that's not right. If the speed is equal to the velocity, no. Al thumped his free hand against the wall, nothing accounted for it stopping. He rolled between his fingers, staring. Hopefully maybe he could jumpstart it? No, nothing. After all these years, all the papers he had written, all the possibilities he had explored, the simple object that had made him a household name was no more. With a curse in his native tongue, he threw it to the ground and lost in his anger. Crack! Al quickly glanced downward, staring in horror at the shadow remains of the object. He had only a moment to try and understand what was before him, before the energies inside blasted through him, reducing the caretaker to less than an ash. That which had been contained was unleashed and fled into the universe to seek out others like it. All that was left was the echo of his last words as he finally understood everything. It was an egg. Oh, shit. Oh, damn. That's dope. I love that. That ends like that. Nah, but we would never know what's inside. The SCP thing never got updated because nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's gone. It escaped. Okay, second last one. Flute copse. Copse. What's a copse? It's not. I thought at first it was like a mistake. A small group of trees. Okay. At first I thought it was like a mistake. I want to say flute corpse, but then I found out like, nope, that's not it at all. It's just copse. Euclid. SCP-628 is contained in Bioresearch Site 104, built on site at blank blank blank. The perimeter of its containment is to be clearly marked by a circle of 3-meter wire fence no less than 1 kilometer from the edge of the copse. Non-Class D personnel are not to enter the perimeter without appropriate hearing protection and seismic sensors. Protective gear sufficient for all personnel on site must be available at all times. All structures on site, and especially the listening post constructed just outside the perimeter fence, must conform to the stringent earthquakes and windproofing building codes laid out in document 628-3. Personnel assigned to Site 104 should preferably be selected for a low absolute threshold of hearing. All newly assigned personnel should be briefed on the visual and emotional effects of infrasound. A brief training course on distinguishing these effects from normal human effects is to be made available on site. The weather at Site 104 must be monitored carefully in the event of a sudden increase in wind speed. The presiding researcher is to be notified in the event that any winds in excess of 50 kilometers are observed. All personnel are to evacuate to Site 104 soundproof shelters. Observation may be continued via ground sensors, remote drones, or D-class personnel. Botanical personnel stationed at Site 104 are to monitor SB628 and maintain it in good health. Regular consultation with MTF Theta 4 gardeners has been scheduled for this purpose. Description: above the soil surface, SB628 consists of a copse of 31 large hollow American sycamore platanus occidentalis trees with trunks from 224 to 455 centimeters in external diameter. The copse is a colonial organism below ground. Below ground, the trees are linked by massive hollow woody stolons. These runner trunks, which lie roughly 2 meters below the soil surface, connect the base of each trunk to between 3 and 7 of its neighbors. An average stolon is 2 meters in diameter and completely hollow. Above ground, the trees never produce leaves, flowers, or fruit, although their bark is photosynthetic in summer, as is typical for P. occidentalis. The individual trunks are designated -1 through 31. Okay. All major above-ground trunks have at some point been broken off. The truncated ends serve as openings to the tree's shared internal cavity. Each member of SCP-628 is oriented geographically, such that the prevailing winds at the site tends to blow directly across the opening, producing considerable Helmholtz resonance. So that's why it's a flute. Observation by remote camera has revealed contractile structures superficially resembling animal sphincters, located at the numerous points inside SB-628's trunks and branches, each capable of restricting or blocking airflow to a particular large branch. The trunk's internal diameters and wooden structures differ enough that each resonance chamber thus created when sealed off from the others and subjected to sufficient wind produces a different pitch. On average, each tree has 3 resonance chambers. The copse can produce 93 notes in total. Its tonal range is equivalent to that of a pipe organ, although much of it lies in the low bass and infrasound. The notes correspond to a Western chromatic scale. SB-628 is capable of isolating any given resonance chamber within 0.2 seconds, quickly enough to play recognizable music. Oh damn, really? You just walk by a copse, and next thing you know, you hear Macklemore coming out of it. That'd be kind of fun. Put your hands up, like the ceiling can hold us. Like the ceiling can hold us. Under sufficiently windy conditions, it does so spontaneously. The corpse repertoire includes numerous works composed for pipe organ between 1366 and 1898, as well as a number of blank recorded to date of previously unknown compositions. Level 2 personnel and above may refer to Site 104's database to recordings of blank original works. The sounds produced by SCP-628 are not anomalous beyond their origin. Ordinary infrasound, however, has been shown to cause feelings of fear, awe, sorrow, anxiety, and disorientation. Sorrow. Sound waves at or very near 18 Hz, the resonant frequency of the human eye, can also produce simple optical illusions. Since the sound is only audible under ideal conditions, exposed personnel will frequently ascribe supernatural causes to these sensations. Incident 23 on the 4/4/2000 blank, as a part of an approved test overseen by Dr. O blank G blank, 2D class personnel equipped with chainsaw attempted to harvest SCP-628-8 approximately at the moment of contact between the chainsaw blade and the item's bark. The local wind speed began increasing from 9 km per hour to 77 km per hour in less than 80 seconds. SCP-628 activated accordingly, playing at roughly 150. What is it called again? I use that on Premiere all the time. DB, I forgot what DB means again. A piece later identified as an augmented version of G.H. Bach Little Folk in G minor. While it remained active, personnel across Site 104 experienced affective and physical disturbances consistent with the effects of high decibel infrasound. On site, seismometers recorded the equivalent of a Richter magnitude 0.63 earthquake. Anomalous weather activity persisted for 3 minutes 31 seconds, exactly the duration of the folk being played. Wind speed and cloud cover quickly returned to normal once the piece concluded. In accordance with containment protocols, experimentation had been suspended shortly after confirmation of anomalous weather activity. -8's trunk had been almost halfway severed at that point when Dr. G blank and the research team returned to SCP to -8 5 hours later. However, they observed that the damage to the atom trunks had begun to heal. Its bark and wood tissues closed smoothly from both sides of the wound in a manner inconsistent with known patterns of plant growth. Incident 24 on the 4th 2000 blank. Events substantially similar to those reported in Incident 23 occurred, with the significant difference that -8's trunk. With the significant difference that -8's trunk, which had healed entirely in the intervening hours, was completely severed before evacuation. The item was partially toppled in the wind before being caught in the branches of its neighbors. -15. The damage to -8's trunk healed entirely over the following 24 hours, although the item did not right itself in the process. No scar was produced, but data expunged tension would of considerable interest to the presiding researcher. Dr. G blank was reprimanded for recklessness. Okay. One of the weaker ones, but I still like the idea of like giant flutes. Giant trees that just happen to be flutes, you know? And the last one, let it be short. That is not short. Oh no. Oh no, this has a lot. Okay, this one is Mr. Brass. Now this from the Foundation Records and Information Security Administration. The anomaly hereafter described is no longer an SCP object and thus requires no special containment procedures. The following information is retained in SCP format for convenience, while the files are transferred into a more permanent format. Thank you for the understanding, Razor. I mean, yeah, Dr. One Containment is just that should just be a list of the SCPs that he has. Yeah. Yeah. These are all the different SCPs that he made. Okay. I think this is just like a pure like this. Oh, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna go to each and every one of these. Ooh boy. I mean, this one maybe, because this one seems like a very specific one. And I wonder what this all is all about. I see, these are just oh my goodness. Woo! Well, okay, let's just read. Again, this one is Mr. Brass. SB629 is a 176 centimeter tall masculine humanoid made entirely of bronze, styled as a middle-aged man with a beard a button-down shirt, tie, jeans, shoes, jacket, and a beanie. Subtle seams separates SCP-629's body into 6 component parts: the legs, the arms, the torso, and the head. When SCP-629 was originally recovered, vibrant paints covered its body, but these have since worn off. The words Mr. Brass from Little Misters by Dr. Containment, which here it says, also known as GOI, have been embossed into SCP-629's back. Despite the rigidity of bronze and seeming lack of mechanization, SCP-629 is capable of ambulation and articulation, which often produces a mechanical clicking and wiring sounds. SCP-629 is also sapient and capable of speech, which produces CO2, water vapor, and trace amounts of lung cells. DNA analysis has found no known matches, but samples variably contain 6 distinct genetic signatures belonging to the 2 biological females and 4 males. 3 of these signatures have been found to contain genetic diseases with high infant mortality rates. SCP-629 is typically cooperative with questioning and testing, but not amicable. Initial interviews were one of the subject of the Little Misters, a children's band that first appeared on the 1981 with the release of a self-titled album. SCP-629 withheld information until its demand for consistent reading material and daily scheduled time outdoors were met. Seeing as SCP-629 holds no anomalous capabilities that could plausibly result in destruction of personal facilities, or escape, SCP-629 has been granted these requested allowance. Okay, here we have the recovery. In 1988, Project Whimsy, headed by Dr. Everwood of the GOI 386 Research and Investigation Department, RNI, made a breakthrough in subverting Dr. Containment's anti-memetic properties. These properties prevented certain information on the organization from being learnable by adults, seeming to target mentalities instead of specific ages, but tending towards allowing the innocent and childish to gain knowledge and disallowing the cold and jaded. Further details of Project Whimsy are restricted to personnel of 3 GOI 386 clearance and above. Through Project Whimsy, GOI 386 RNI discovered a flyer for a Little Mr. concert set to occur within the month on the 2nd, 28th, 1988 at a Clockwork Orthodox Church. These are all just... Oh boy. Host the Dream Venue. Notably, it was later discovered through interviews that Clockwork Orthodox Church had hosted venues for the Little Mr. due to the interest in SCP-629. The flyer invited any child who found it to put the flyer under their pillow and dream of flying away. Operation Here Now was quickly put together to intercept this concert, as it was seen as a sizable threat to the Veil. Careful monitoring of a sleeping child who had put the flyer under the pillow on the night of the concert revealed a selective astral ray. A selective ray is a way which is some way requires specific traits of the entrant to function properly. An astral ray is a way which may only be traversed by a metaphysical ego. Oh my god. However, the way was improperly regarded, most likely due to Dr. Containment's assurance that it would not be discovered. After 2 hours, the way was widened to be general instead of selective, allowing the passage of MTF Omicron Rho, the Dream Team. After a conflict that remained unrecorded due to at the time underdeveloped dream traversing technology, all attending children were forced back through the respective ways and amnesticized, and MTF Omicron Rho returned bearing SCP-629's metaphysical ego, withheld from returning to its physical self. All other members of the Little Misters apparently escaped. With Operation Here Now a success, GOI 386 RNI began a correspondence with the Honorary Research Department within Site 55, with the goal of using SCP-629's metaphysical ego to locate its physical self. However, before this could be accomplished, SCP-629's physical self appeared within a hallway of Site 55 under the blind spot of the camera on the 3rd, 4th, 1988. Initial containment was established on SCP-629's physical self and metaphysical ego were united on the 3rd, 10th, 1988. TOY368 response. The Little Misters didn't release another album until 4 months after SCP-629's acquisition. Glub Glub, an album focusing mostly on Mr. Soap, teaching children proper hygiene techniques. Nearly halving the speed of the usual output. However, after this one delay, the Little Misters appears to proceed as normal, even slightly increasing the output to produce their usual 6 albums by the end of the year. Notably, the music no longer included any brass instruments with the prior albums, which the prior albums had. This observation has held true up until the present, when the notable exception of the use of trumpets on the last track of the most recent album, Razor. There also emerged a lyrical motive in which words ending with "as" were followed by the instrumentals where a rhyme would usually occur. For example, in the song Park Day Off of the album Step Outside and Smile 1990. I can feel the feeling filling my soul. Of the new day, the blue day will fill up the sky, and the sun will shine bright on the young and old, and it makes me so happy I feel like I could cry. I remember a man who ran fingers through grass. Instrumental Park Day chorus ensues. Album art for the Little Mr. Step Outside and Smile released. These unresolved rhymes are most often sung by Mr. Chameleon, POY361-1-3, who otherwise is neither a singer nor an instrumentalist and instead performs dances and visual effects. Interviews with SCP-629 have revealed that Mr. Chameleon was SCP-629's closest friend among the Little Misters. No explicit reference to SCP-629 were made in any media produced by the Little Misters, though there are other potential implicit references in the songs from the era between SCP-629's acquisition and 1999. In 1999, the current POY386 Prime, Dr. Cornelius Entertainment Prime 2 died unexpectedly of unknown causes. Greater correspondence with Dr. Entertainment has still failed to elucidate the circumstances of Dr. C.M. Entertainment death. Razor. In his will, he named a holy light as his successor, who then became the new POY386 Prime, inheriting SCP Blank, the title of Dr. Entertainment. The Little Mister behavior began to change soon after this development, beginning with a year-long hiatus in which they created no music or merchandise. In 2000, TOY386 R&I received the following letter abridged here for ease of reading. January 15th, 2000, from the desk of the grandest government of bonbons. Dear SCP Foundation, it has come time for us to address your possession of one of the Little Misters, a registered Dr. Entertainment's intellectual property. Our band has been missing one of its cornerstone members for over a decade, and my predecessor did not have the resources nor time to dedicate to recovering Mr. Brass. Throughout our conflict in the past, Dr. Entertainment Company and the Foundation have largely avoided physical confrontation. We would like to keep that rapport. So instead of threats, I would like to propose a trade. Dr. H.L. Entertainment. Okay. What is that trade, huh? The letter went on to describe a trade offer of information on some of Dr. Entertainment's operation and inner workings in exchange for SCP-629 and several other Dr. Entertainment related anomalies contained by the SCP Foundation. Restricted to personnel of 3GOY386 clearance and above. A correspondence between TOY386 RNI and O5 Council led to vote on whether or not to take the deal as offered or to propose changes. The vote eventually led to the change of terms, which were then sent back to Dr. Entertainment via a method described in the letter. However, Dr. Entertainment never responded, even once a follow-up letter was sent. No further attempts at communication have been made. On the 21st, 2000, the Little Misters released the album Imagining New Colors, which deviated from the usual formula significantly both in genre and subject matter. Is it like more angry? While there were hints and references to the status as a children's band, the album also explored much more existential themes, such as the status of being an artificially created being, as in the song Shot Like a Cannonball, and questioning their fulfillment doing what they were presumably created to do, as in song Baseline. The album also omitted any promotion of Dr. Entertainment's products, as was typical in previous albums. Imagining New Colors also included the first ever instrumental track thought to be a reference to SCP-629's titled Unsung Hero. This song featured a pentatonic motif that the Little Misters would proceed to write into at least one song on every subsequent album. In an interview with the Dear College Odyssey, an anomalous publication in excess of 3 Portlands, Mr. Live called the motif the glass motif but refused to elaborate further. Okay. This whole thing is a bit confusing, I'll honestly say. So Mr. Brass is basically a band member. He's a sentient animatronic, basically. After the release of this album, the Little Misters entered a period of infrequent activity, performing in only 3 concerts and releasing 4 albums between 2000 and 2002, none of which were aimed towards the usual demographic. However, on the 6th, 30th, 2002, the Little Misters released another children's album titled Mr. Moon Rules the Planet, which combined the education-oriented earlier style with the new pattern of weaving a single story throughout the songs. The album followed Mr. Moon, as he fell in love with each astral body of the solar system, which were played by various other members of the Little Misters, working from Pluto inwards and ending with the sun. In this album, the glass motif was used in the song Mercury, accompanied by lyrics of Mr. Moon lamenting that Mercury disappeared behind the heat of the sun but might someday come back, which transitioned into the final song, The Sun, by way of his focus becomes distracted by the object between them. Following this release, the Little Misters resumed their pattern of releasing an album of every other month. However, only every other album released was a children's album, and the remainder were more experimental and existential. This pattern continues at the time of writing. This pattern still holds true even after current events. Oh boy, that's kind of freaky though. Like, can you imagine they switch between like children friendly and all that, and suddenly like existential depression, and constantly like That would, if I was a parent of one of these children, I'd be very concerned about the band that they listen to. In 2018, the Little Misters made the first explicit mention of SCP-629 at a show during Rock Against the Foundation. An anti-Foundation music festival put on by Large Serpent's Hand, subsect with ties to the Slavic art scene. During the performance, Mr. Red Jr. Exclaimed, "This is one for brass," before the band played a fast and long rendition of Unsung Hero. Little Misters set ended with Mr. Red saying, "To Mr. Brass, we love you, we miss you, we're coming to get you." Despite this statement, the Little Misters have made no known attempts to reclaim SCP-629. As the Foundation, this is kind of risky, right? There's a whole band out there talking about them. Like, they haven't made it obvious where Mr. Brass went or what the Foundation does, but they could if they wanted to. New GOY 386 relation and impact on SCP-629 containment. Well, this is like, oh, okay, never mind. On the 6th, 18th, 2042, the OR5 Council anonymously accepted a more cooperative relationship as proposed by Dr. Containment, the details of which are restricted to personnel of 3 GOY 386, clearance and above. The effects of this new relationship on containment are ongoing and have resulted in many newly non-SCP objects continuing to be classified as such until the Records and Information Security Administration can move these files in a new format. SCP-629 is one such item. Mr. Brass, has been released to the Little Monsters after being amnesticized of any classified information he may have gathered while in Foundation custody. Recorded below, it's a final interview conducted before Mr. Brass' amnesticization and release. Dr. Robert Dorr, Mr. Brass, 7th, 20th, 2042. This interview was held in the Site 55 corridor because Mr. Brass is notably more cooperative when outdoors. Begin log. Dr. Dora has placed a handheld recorder on the bench between himself and Mr. Brass to start the interview. As the recording begins, sounds of Dr. Dora seating himself can be heard, as well as the mechanical clicks from Mr. Brass moving into a more comfortable position in the background running while it can be heard. Dora, Brass. There's a pause. Faint rearing can be heard. Actually, you know what? Dora, Brass. Let's do it that way. As well as briefing from the door. Well, Brass, let's start simple. How are you today? I'm doing fine. I'm doing well. Perfect. Any discomfort, any new developments with your body? No. How about emotionally? Anything been bothering you? Anything we can help you with? I'm doing well. Good. Well, Brass, you'll probably know by the record that I'm not just coming to check in with you today. It's really big news. This is your last interview. You're gonna be released. Only one can be heard. All mechanical sounds have ceased. A pause endures for 8 seconds. As of months ago, the SP Foundation has accepted an agreement proposed by the current Dr. of Entertainment, a Judy Papil, if I remember correctly, to enter a more cooperative and peaceful relationship. Birdsong can be heard. Part of this new relationship is that we're giving them, I don't like to call you this, but our skips. You're one of them. You're going home. Footsteps of someone passing by can be heard, as well as far-off conversation. A pause endures for 12 seconds. Really? Part of the agreement is that World Entertainment is going to go more mundane, make significantly less anomalous products in exchange for the Foundation ceasing to target their business practices. I think I heard that means the little misters are going to be able to perform more publicly. Less cloaks and daggers. Most of you can pass as non-anomalous individuals already, as long as no one touches you. You look like a street performer. I'm certain a little bit of a loud magic will make an illusion complete. Brief mechanical clicking is heard. A splash is accompanied by duck calls as duck land in the wall behind the two. A pause endures for 10 seconds, then Mr. Brass begins to hum the tune of I'm Mr. Brass from the Little Misters' first album. Brass? Are you alright? I'm doing well. A small pat can be heard as Dr. Dora puts his hand on Mr. Brass' shoulder. You're going home. Really? Some mechanical sounds are heard. After 4 seconds, Mr. Brass resumes humming. This endures for 18 seconds before Dr. Dora picks up the handheld recorder and ceases the interview. Okay. But let's see what we have here. TOY response. Mr. Brass first appeared in the Little Mister album For Music's Sake, an educational album about the basics of music theory. Mr. Brass did not, however, play any instruments or sing, instead of using the mechanical noises he makes while moving percussion. This use of Mr. Brass continued for the next 3 albums, though during this time he did not make any public appearances. Easy? What was happening? His first public appearance was in an outdoor concert on the 1st/8th, 2043 in Austin, Texas. The concert was partnered with New Shoes, a mundane charity supporting homeless youth. Mr. Brass reveals his new role in the band as a percussionist, moving his body in such a way as to make clicks and whirs to the beats of the songs. After intermission, however, Mr. Brass ceased to perform in the middle of the song, entitled Chris' Daily Walk. The rest of the Little Mister appeared to notice, but continued with the performance until Mr. Brass walked off stage, at which point Mr. Fish followed him. At the conclusion of the song by the other bandmates, Mr. Sweetie announced an unplanned intermission. The band proceeded backstage, and Mr. Sweetie returned after 20 minutes to regretfully announce that the concert was being cut short. Attendees were informed that the tickets were refundable, but all proceeds would go to charity. Mr. Brass has neither appeared publicly nor in an album since. Oh shit. Current status. Mr. Brass is known to reside somewhere in Wonderworld, though exact whereabouts are unknown. Current activities of the Little Misters are also unknown. It is thought that Mr. Chameleon lives with Mr. Brass and potentially acts in a caretaker role. Dr. Wonderham has refused to give any further details on Mr. Brass. In 2044, the Little Mister released the album Oxidized, which includes a song written by each member of the Little Misters, excluding Mr. Brass, in digital format. The final track is untitled. However, a pamphlet that comes with CD purchase reads, "Wow, we just purchased this from the amazing Little Misters. Oxidized is our longest album yet, about the existentialism of our own potential immortality, reflecting back on the lives we have led thus far. It is also our most autobiographical album, with one song written by each of the members, even our manager and producer, by a whole discovery to become Mr. MX Collector, buy a backstage pass at one of our shows and become MX Love." So yeah, these are all different yeah. These are all different entertainment beings. But I do wonder what happened to Brass. I guess he passed. from the interview, it seems like he had Alzheimer, or like some sort of similar thing to that, because like he's like, you're going home, really, like he had to ask, he had to hear that twice, and yeah, it seems that he's just old. Yeah, he's not able to do this anymore. Wow. This was an interesting one. I feel like this one makes a lot more sense if you know all the other Dr. One Entertainment SCPs. But here we go. Here's the list of the SCPs in order of which one I enjoyed the most. I gotta say, personal music player. The idea to like find out what my other self is doing for music or stand up or whatever. They could be making a book. They could be reading. They could be making an audio biography. They could be making an ebook and so on and so forth. It doesn't matter. It's the idea that I can just listen to myself and see like what happened to him in a different reality, especially connect to music. I really do hope that it would be a music type thing that he does, because that would be really interesting to see. One groovy room, just the whole concept of it is, it's kind of fun, you know. It's just a room that makes you relaxed and happy, but then like it makes you also see things, and then once you leave, you become extremely aggressive and stressed. Hypnobulbs. I just love the idea that a bunch of flowers just create light, or like they just shine, they just glow in the dark, and everybody's like, they look cool, so we're gonna leave it be. Ankle biters, they sound extreme, and that's why I like them. The fact that they have like those 16 centimeters like claws, and they just run at that speed. Respect, absolute respect. Perpetual circle. Honestly, the story of Tesla sells this way more. The fact that it's just a ball that just rolls around. At first you're like, okay, but then the part with Tesla that he's actually experimented with this thing makes it a lot more interesting. The fact that it's an egg adds a little bit more interestingness, because at the end now you're like, oh shit, there's an SCP out there which they don't know if that was the SCP that came out of the egg. Any SCP that they catch could have been the SCP that came out of the egg. They don't know. They just have to assume. Time keeps on slipping. Yeah, I do like the idea that like you put on a time a watch, and then you're like, your own time just speeds up. It must be. It's just wild. Also, especially that like the watch is a smiley face. That's just an extra slap, right? Like you have this like cutesy, like little, almost like a children's watch on, and next thing you know, your whole life is fucked because you think that time is passing by normally, but it's actually going by really fast for you. But it is going by normally. Death in the can, yeah. No, that was good. Like just that concept, that the idea of like, and it just sucks up all the humidity. I will still say though, the fact that they decided to do it on nature was really dumb idea. And they should have done like, they went to a biodome to do it, which is like, oh yeah, it's so well shut off from the actual nature outside. What they should have done is they should have like an elevated giant not a pod, but you know, like just like take like a 5x10 ground, and just, you know, get the cut and then put that into like a surface, and put it and then raise it up away from the earth, and then spray on it, and you can see how that part of the earth is like just dies off. And then once it's finished, and then yeah, you can test it if it still does it by grabbing a piece of fresh earth and then dropping a piece of that, well, with safety measures of course, dropping a piece of that dried up earth onto it and see if it's still affecting it, because that means that piece of earth, that giant 5x10 piece of earth, meters piece of earth, needs to stay off the ground. You have done that at least. That way you could have been more safe that it doesn't spread to the whole entire world. Vision altering sculpture. Yeah, it's pretty simple. I like the idea that it allows you to see beyond what humans can see. But I feel like death is just a lot of SCP kills. A lot of SCP just end up killing you. I feel like this one should have been one that doesn't. It just doesn't. You just have to live with it. I think that's the only complaint I have about it, but I do like the idea behind it. Flute copes, yeah, giant trees that are flutes. I mean, come on, that's just aesthetically awesome to look at. And Mr. Brass, I felt bad for Mr. Brass at the end there. He seemed like, at the end, he seemed to just be a part of a band that the Foundation just took in and never gave back. And Dr. Wonderton was just wanted Mr. Brass back, and now that he finally is back, he's just falling apart. He can't live, he can't do anything anymore the same way he used to. You just have to accept that he can't be part of the band anymore, which is very tragic. And two things. The first thing is it's so tragic that he finally got to be back with his friends and be part of the things that he loved, just for him to not being able to anymore, because he's just either A, doesn't remember anything, or B, is just too old for it. I think he has dementia. I really do think he has dementia or Alzheimer's or both. He just, the way he acted with the Foundation, with Dr. Dora, where he's just like, where he had to like be reassured that he can go home. And that's my second point. I kind of think the Foundation did that on purpose. Maybe I might be wrong. I think Dr. Dora was actually kind to him, but the Foundation itself, like the whole thing, was probably realizing like, oh, he's getting dementia, so he's useless to us, so might as well give him back. You know what I mean? That's how the Foundation works. The moment like it's useless and they don't see any harm in it anymore, they will probably give it back. But yeah. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed the 620s. Next weekend on Saturday we start with the 630s and 40s, unless something comes in the way. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope